hit subscribe. Subscribe to my guy, Uncle D. Tell him Big Bass sent you.
Spurling. I'm an attorney here in Houston, Texas, an advocate for black men, largely because I am a black man. I'm a black father. I have black sons. Hey, man, I do what I do.
What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the broadcast. I'd like to thank everybody for being here with me today. My name is Dennis Spurling, and this is the Dennis Spurling broadcast. And I want to give a big acknowledgement to all the people joining me from all of my different channels. Big shout out to Jay Witt. I appeared on his broadcast today, and we had a great talk about Jesus. Hallelujah. Somebody typed Jesus in the chat room. We talked about the Lord. We talked about these kids. We might get us an arranged marriage. I'm gonna marry my son's off to his daughter. We'll see how that work out. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't know if the Crimson Son is ready to get married, and that older boy, he just like doing math. But either way, I'd like to acknowledge everybody, man. This is just cool being in here with you guys. As I always say at this time, man, it's just a privilege and an honor to have you all come in and day out just to talk with me, or really just allow me to speak to you, because, you know, not everybody has this opportunity. And so what I try to do is I try to be mindful of that, okay? Mindful, demure, okay? More importantly, I try to speak the truth. I try to protect your ears by only giving you the truth and as accurate as I can without any biasness. Now, of course, there's gonna be some bias because I'm not perfect. But I do give you a perspective, and that's what keeps me going. And I appreciate your feedback. I pretty much read all the comments, so and then I take it in consideration. Now today, I want to talk to you all about something that's been a hot topic, and that is well, let me say, ever since Haitians under TPS were put on notice that the temporary protected status has ended, some of them have directed their anger towards Black Americans. And TPS, a temporary protected status, is a humanitarian immigration designation that allows certain foreign nationals to live and work in the United States temporarily. Okay, and when their home country is considered too dangerous or unstable for return, they're allowed here to stay here. How long? Temporarily. It's not citizenship. It's not permanent residency. It's not temporary. It's temporary protection. But keep in mind, there's been a concerted effort by many Haitians in America to separate themselves from foundational Black Americans. And the entire time they've been here. And they've made it a point to distinguish themselves from Black America, largely because the perception is that they're treated differently, meaning better than foundational Black Americans. And here's the problem. In response to the termination of TPS, some Haitians have directed their anger towards foundational Black Americans and have begun lashing out at us. But it was the current administration of Donald Trump, the 47th president, okay, here in his second presidential election, that moved to revoke or terminate these TPS protections. Then the Supreme Court cleared the way for the termination to go forward. So the question you should ask yourself is simple. Why lash out at foundational Black Americans? What do we have to do with this? And the truth is, it's not really about foundational Black Americans. The truth is they're lashing out at America. But see, they're too afraid to lash out at white America because they fear what will happen to them. So instead, they just, like many other immigrant groups have done, they take the anger toward America and aim it at Black Americans. So they say things like dirty Black Americans. They'll say you're all on welfare. They'll say you're lazy and so on. But the truth is, when they say that, they're really talking about all Americans. They're calling all Americans lazy. They're telling all Americans that we don't know what to do with our citizenship and we don't appreciate what we have and that we just need to work harder. Somebody type work harder in the chat room, okay? And you can hear it in the language. You can hear it in the contempt. You can hear it in the resentment. But again, they're too afraid to say that directly to white America, so they focus their hostility on foundational Black Americans because they don't think that we'll do anything about it. And that's the part that needs to be understood. This isn't just immigration frustration. This is displacement. This is people being angry at the United States government, angry at the Supreme Court, angry at Trump, and angry at the loss of legal protection they depended on, but then turning around and directing that anger at the one group of Americans they think they can safely disrespect, and that's foundational Black Americans. Somebody type temporary in the chat room. You see? Now, see, here's the thing. I want to dig a little deeper. The problem is that, I guess the problem that immigrants have in general, they really don't understand Black America and white America. Because, see, both white Americans and Black Americans, and when I say Black Americans, I'm referring to foundational Black Americans, understand something that many immigrants either don't understand or don't want to admit or haven't fully assimilated into. America is and always will be a Black and white country at its deepest historical, political, and cultural foundation. Somebody type Black and white. And that doesn't mean other groups don't live here. That doesn't mean other groups don't matter. But the core American story was built through foundational Black Americans, heritage white Americans, who endured slavery, Civil War, Reconstruction, Jim Crow, the Civil Rights era, labor disputes, land disputes, law, citizenship, war after war, politics, culture, and the Constitution. You can't explain America without explaining these two groups. So when you talk about foundational Black Americans with contempt, white Americans, especially the ones who have deep roots here, understand that you're also talking about America in general. You're talking about one of the foundational American populations, and that is Black Americans. You're talking about people whose ancestors built this country and fought in every war alongside the white people. You're talking about the people who've been paying taxes for generations, paid into the institutions, and helped define what citizenship even means here in America. And that anger is noted. And this is where some legal and illegal immigrants make a serious mistake. They think they can separate foundational Black Americans from America. They think they can insult foundational Black Americans while still claiming to love and respect America. They think they can call foundational Black Americans lazy, dirty, welfare dependent, name the names, criminal, ungrateful, undeserving, while pretending they're not attacking the country that produced us. But that isn't how America works. If you don't like Black Americans, you don't like Americans. If you despise Black Americans, you despise America. If you look at foundational Black Americans with contempt, then you're looking at one of the oldest, most entrenched, deeply rooted American populations with contempt. And that's especially important in this TPS conversation. TPS means what? Temporary protected status. It's a temporary immigration protection that allows certain foreign nationals to remain in the United States when their home country is considered too dangerous or unstable for return. We did them a favor. We could have left them there and they could have suffered through the rebuilding of the hurricane. But now we're saying, hey, you know what? It's time for y'all to go home and get out of our house. Now, while they were here, it can provide work authorization, protection from deportation for a limited period, but it is not citizenship. It isn't permanent residency. It doesn't make you an American. So when TPS Haitians lash out at foundational Black Americans because those protections are ending, they're directing their anger at the wrong people. Black Americans didn't create TPS. We didn't grant TPS. We didn't terminate TPS. We didn't argue the case. We didn't issue the ruling. We didn't revoke anybody's work permit. That came from Donald Trump's administration and under Donald Trump's second presidency. And the man already established what he was going to do in the first one. So the question we have to ask ourselves is, why are they lashing out at Black Americans? And the answer is that, again, they're angry at America, but they're afraid to aim that anger at white America because they don't want to have to deal with the consequences. So instead, what do? Like many other immigrant groups, they just blame the Black people because that's because we're the safest Americans they can disrespect. And this is where the anti-American sentiment shows itself. It doesn't always come out as I hate America. Sometimes it comes out as, oh, Black Americans are lazy. Sometimes it comes out as, oh, you don't know what to do with your citizenship. It comes out, all of y'all are, lazy, no good welfare recipients. Oh, here's my favorite. Immigrants build America. Immigrants come here and work harder. But see, that isn't just anti-Black language. That's anti-American language being filtered through anti-Black contempt to make it more palatable to other people. Because see, when they say FBA are lazy, they're really repeating a larger narrative that native-born Americans are lazy. When they say foundational Black Americans don't appreciate citizenship, they're really saying Americans don't appreciate our citizenship. And when they say Black Americans don't work hard enough, they're really saying the citizens of this country don't deserve the country they inherited. That's what they're saying. And this narrative didn't come out of nowhere. Polling has shown that most Americans have absorbed the idea that immigrants do the jobs Americans don't want. That belief may sound harmless, but underneath it is a very clear accusation. Americans are too lazy, too entitled, or too unwilling to do too hard work. Now, that came out of the liberal academics. And as I pointed out on many times in this broadcast, a lot of that is founded in anti-American rhetoric. So it makes sense. Nevertheless, when immigrants repeat that talking point against Black Americans, they're not just insulting Black Americans, they're repeating the broader critique of Americans. And that's why this matters. Okay. Now, I have some videos that I'd like to share with you all, and I'm going to do my very best. As you all see how well spoken I am today. See, I'm not slurring my words, not speaking Ebonics as I normally do, and I'm going to do my very best to speak nasally as I'm doing here. However, unfortunately for me, sometimes things make me upset. Somebody type Uncle D mad in the chat room. Sometimes when I see these videos, I have to scream at the screen, and I'm going to do my best not to do that, okay? Because I'm trying to be a kinder, gentler Uncle D. Somebody type kinder and gentler. But some stuff deserves to be screamed at, okay? And I'm going to try not to interrupt the videos. I do the best I can, but I have shortcomings, just like so many of us. So y'all pray for me as we begin to look at these videos, okay? Now, the first thing I want to introduce to you all is we'll just start. We have some angry Haitians in the chat room, and we have some angry Haitians on video, and I just want y'all to see and just be mindful. What did we do? We didn't. Where's the 92% at? The 92% will say we didn't even vote for these people. We didn't vote for Trump like that. We didn't do that. Why y'all mad at us? I want you to remember that. Okay, so let's take a look at. Let's start off with this fella. Let's start off with this fella.
Y'all hating on real. You know what I'm saying? Y'all happy we getting deported, nigga. Y'all want us out the country. Y'all say it's y'all country. But then y'all turn around saying, oh, get out of our country. Then y'all turn around saying, oh, you see the Haitians, they get in political positions and they.
Okay, sir. First of all, you're speaking Ebonics. Okay, let's start with that. And we are trying not to do that on this broadcast. However, since you've decided to speak Ebonics, number one, this is our country. Okay. Matter of fact, not only is it, we didn't just get this country by working hard, we got this country by war fighting. Okay, somebody type war fighting. We got this country by sacrifice. We got this country by through litigation. We got this country through exploration. It's not just as simple as work harder. On top of that, sir, okay, on top of that, you know what I'm saying? That's an American East Coast style use of slang, and you're not allowed to use that, okay? Because what's going to happen is people will confuse you with a Black American, which seems to be your game plan. And now that you are being distinguished, you have a problem with it, okay? But again, you were Haitian. You want to be Haitian now. I want all of you all to put your flags outside your house. Go ahead and put your flags out. I want you to put a Haitian flag on each and every one of your cars and do that, because remember, you all said we were lazy. You said that we didn't work hard enough. Remember, you all said that? You all said that about us. Yet now you're complaining that you're being distinguished from foundational Black Americans. You asked for this, okay? And again, and I'm gonna just say this: we don't have to accommodate you in our country. You don't get to come to somebody's house and expect them to accommodate you. When you come to someone else's country, you assemble into their way of doing things. We don't have to know anything about Haitian history. We don't have to know anything about Mexican history, Venezuelan history, Nigerian history, Ghanaian history. This is our country. Your job is to come over here, learn the language, learn the customs, and assimilate. But you know, this anger is this anger is why, you know, Black folks are still on the couch and we're resting while you all are being targeted. Okay, let's listen.
They only look out for Haitians. How do we get in political position in this y'all country? What the y'all talking about?
You faked Black American. That's how you got in a political position. Same thing with acting position. Same thing with everything else. You operated under the umbrella of safety that we provided. When you scream racism, or when you scream bigotry because you didn't get a job, that's our civil rights language. That's why. Respectfully, sir, I'm gonna let him continue.
Is that everybody be talking about? Take my hat off for this. You and everybody be talking. You know what I'm saying? Y'all don't put in enough work. That's y'all problem. Don't get mad that somebody can't put the work in and lapped you. This to the FBAs.
Work harder. You see what I'm saying? This you hear what I'm saying? They're telling us to work harder in our country. Okay. All right. But anyway, somebody type mad in the chat room.
Don't be mad because we came in and we built and you was sitting on your mama, laying on your mama couch because you was on probation for a petty crime and you only made $400 for it. You spent it all on weed, boy. Who the fuck think started to pay respect? And I got love for my American who get into the bag, who know what it is.
I don't really feel like you have love, sir. I don't really feel like you have love. It feels like there's a lot of insults being thrown around. It feels like there's a lot of animosity, respectfully. I'm just going to throw that out there. It seems to me there's a little bit too much anger. My question is, why don't you have all this smoke for those Dominicans that are your next door neighbors? Somebody type Dominicans in the chat room. Where are the Dominican police and the Dominican military in your anger? Because it's not foundational Black Americans rounding you up. At best, the ICE agents are going to be about 50% Latino and about 45% white, and then the rest other. So why don't you have all this smoke for the Dominicans? Those are your neighbors. I mean, that if you cannot go to your next door neighbor, okay, to borrow a cup of sugar, right? Why is it that you want to now go across town, cross the Atlantic Ocean, the Caribbean Sea? You come up here and you expect Black Americans. I don't know. It seems to me, humbly, respectfully. And then when I look around at the Caribbean, the Jamaicans just sent about 21 Haitians back home from Portland. The Bahamians don't want you there. Okay. You have issues with foundational Black Americans. Again, you have issues with Dominicans. So I don't know if all of these different African groups, people of African descent with a similar history, has a problem with your particular group. What does that say? I don't know. Maybe it's time to take a look in the mirror. Maybe it's something about your culture. Maybe it's something about the way you conduct yourself. Maybe it's something about your arrogance that makes all these people. Maybe it's something about what you bring when you enter into the homeland of people. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. Maybe that might be a reason why your country is the way it is. Because I get it. Okay, it's America's fault. It's France's fault. They made you pay a lot of money. But certainly there should be some room to assess what's going on personally, because 25% of Haiti is run by Haitian gangs. 25%. There's a lot of SA and grape going on. So I don't think that has anything to do. I think, there's a lot of introspection that needs to go on. Okay. Humbling. Okay. But bottom line, you all like how I'm speaking? This is how I speak in court. Don't you like that? See, I'm trying to be a kinder, gentler Uncle D. But let's let this gentleman with the twisty braids finish.
But I gotta say it. It ain't no other way to say it.
Well, sir, I mean,
Well, shout out to the brother right here. I appreciate that. Again, so this is just anger. I just see a lot of anger going on here. Now, if you didn't hear him, he sounds like he's from Georgia. That does not sound like a Haitian accent to me. Nevertheless, let's continue moving forward. We'll see what else is, some more people have to say, because it's a lot to be said. Let's keep going. Keep going.
Supported. Look, man, one thing about us Haitians, y'all can never say we hated on y'all. I'm saying y'all can say it, but y'all can't really prove it. Y'all can show us not nowhere where Haitians did anything to y'all. You feel me? All I'm hearing is, this one lady said dirty Black American.
He could barely get it out of his mouth. Yeah, that was in February. That was during Black History Month, sir. That lady called Black Americans dirty Black Americans, and it didn't come from nowhere, sir. It didn't come from anywhere, and you just have to understand that you all are gonna have to eat that. That was the public representation of how Haitians really feel. In other words, she is the poster child for tell us how you really feel. And unfortunately, when you come to another people's country and you use rhetoric like that, it's going to be hard to get that indigenous population to then thereafter come to your side and say, oh, yeah, we understand. They're not going to shake that off. It's an insult. It happens when you do stuff like that to people from Israel. It happens when you do stuff like that to people from different Islamic. I remember there was a newspaper article that said something disparaging about it Islamic. They end up unaliving that newspaper reporter. So, you got to watch your mouth, but it didn't come from anywhere. You can't just say it's just her that feels like that. You think she just came up with that all along? Or was that something that you all have been discussing amongst yourselves? See, that's the thing. Let's keep listening.
Yeah, y'all can mention that, but at the end of the day, like, Haitians show you have nothing but love. You know what I'm saying? So one person can't represent the entire nation. You know what I'm saying?
Shout out to AJ Wise. Thank you for the first super chat.
Because we ain't never hated on nobody. We're the most loving people that I know.
You all are the most loving people. Is that what you're saying? Y'all the most loving? I don't know about that. Not based on what I see going on in Haiti right now. It doesn't seem like it's a lot of love going on there. But I'll let you go ahead and finish, sir.
Saying so, at the end of the day, we ain't did nothing to y'all, and I know why a lot of y'all hate us, but we still love y'all, man.
I would like to know, why is it that he said first of all, Black Americans don't think about people from foreign countries, black people from foreign countries or not. We don't really care. All right. I'm gonna be honest with you. We don't really care. Okay. I will say this. We think about Jamaicans because it's our understanding that they have the weed, and I don't smoke weed, but I know the weed smokers. They think about weed and reggae. They think about weed, reggae, and Bob Marley. Okay. And there's some ladies that like to go down there and hang out and get them some loose bamboo. Okay. You can interpret that if you want to, but there's some ladies that go down there for the river ride and they get the bamboo. But as soon as they hop on that jet headed back to LaGuardia, they forgetting all about that. They got to get back to their job. But the bottom line is, we don't think about foreign blacks. We don't think about black Brits. We don't think about Haitians. We don't think about none of that. We don't care. We know about some Nigerians. Like I say, I got love for Nigerian doctors. I love me a good Nigerian doctor. They know everything. They like the Chat GPT of medicine. So shout out to them. But other than that, and that just came on the view card, if you will. Okay, but Black Americans you are not in our universe. You are not at all. You just some island people. If you ask most Black Americans to point out Haiti on the map, they would be looking in Africa somewhere. They have no idea where you are. They don't care what you're doing down there. You're a big deal to you and in your own mind. I'm just going to throw that out there, okay? Because we don't distinguish between black. So in other words, if you're black in the United States. It's you all that have delineated first. And now you see Black Americans delineated, and this is the after effect. But I want to know, what is the reason that we're hating based on his logic? Ladies, gentlemen, why are we hating on Haitians? Let's hear his well thought out answer.
I'm saying, but I know it's because the girls love us. So y'all gotta hate. It's all good.
Okay. All
They're
right,
being
ladies,
happy that Haitians get.
the Haitian gentleman says is because you Black American women, y'all love them. That's what it is. Thank you so much for clarifying that. Ladies, that's why he said, that's why we hate on them, is because they're so handsome and you know, they're afraid that we're afraid that they're gonna take all our women. Okay, ladies, that's what they said. That's what they said. Whitney said, no, they absolutely not. That's what he said. You heard what he said. Whitney said, absolutely no. He said, y'all think they're handsome. Okay, that's what he said. He said, y'all be have y'all in the room saying "sap I say" at 2:30 in the morning after you get home from the club. That's what he said. Don't lie now. That's what he said. He said it. Kalisha said, no, don't deny it. He said it's because y'all think that they're handsome, and that's why we hating on them. That's what he said. So I'm gonna let that I'm gonna let that marinate for a little while. But that somebody type arrogance in the chat room. Somebody type arrogance in the chat room. Let's keep listening to the videos. I want to hear what else. Okay, I want to hear what else. And you know, it's what it is. And here and let's listen to this fella right here. He's very angry. Look at this guy.
Haitian. You know what I'm saying? You need fucking move your shit, ambassador in Haiti. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know what you're saying, sir. I don't know. I barely understand what you're saying. I think I like the other guy with the Alabama accent first. You're saying a lot, and I know it's passionate, but I don't understand what you're saying.
Hello, President Trump. I'm Haitian. You know what I'm saying? You need fucking move your shit, ambassador in Haiti. You know what I'm saying?
No, I don't.
Haitian, I don't play. I don't have problem. Whatever Haitian want to go Haiti, you need move your shit, ambassador in Haiti. Fuck you, bitch.
Where do you want to move?
Hello,
Is he in
President
your
Trump. I'm Haitian.
Is
You know
he
what
in
I'm
your
saying?
parking space or something? What would you like him to move? You talk to the president like that, sir? They come to get you. They're gonna call ICE on you immediately. But yeah, it's passion. Somebody type passion in the chat room. He's very angry. He's very angry. I mean, but sir, it's temporary. It was all temporary, sir. It was not permanent. Okay, it wasn't permanent. See, and I mean, respectfully, sir. What would you want us to do? What is it that you want us to do about it? I mean, I see y'all on the internet, you're angry, you're mad, and just mad and angry and hostile, and just we didn't do anything. We didn't do nothing to Black Americans. Didn't do anything to you. We didn't do nothing to you. What did we do? Okay, but let's keep listening to look at some more anger and arrogance. Anger and arrogance.
I'm sorry. Whatever. You Americans, just your non-cultured ass. I don't even say nothing. Go eat. Dirty Black American?
Wait, what?
Huh? I did. A dirty Black American. I sure did. Because that's what y'all are.
Black. I don't like this. Like, why are you telling me I have to do this because I'm Black? When it's been already pointed out that I'm Haitian, why do I now have to submit to this idea of being Black? That makes absolutely no sense to me. And that's what you don't get. A lot of people are...
Black Americans came here on a slave boat for slavery in America. You know, when you back on that slave boat to Africa and go look for which country in Africa you came from.
Growing up, being raised to be very proud of being Haitian American, there was also for me, as there were for many other Caribbean people or just any other, I would say, immigrant individuals from immigrant populations, this again, what I talked about, the racial distancing, don't be like the Black Americans. That was very common that you would hear that. And it's not surprising for me to hear other people talk about when they were growing up, this idea.
I tell people there's a difference between being Black and Haitian. Being Haitian is double Black to me.
Double Black?
Yes. It's more than Black to me.
Okay, what is that?
Because, let's just say, Black American, to me, not that they aren't Black enough, but they don't know their culture so much that they are in a whole pile by themselves.
Oh, that's not true, man. Like,
to me,
okay,
culture-wise, meaning like someone don't Black American, I'm not talking about African American.
Do y'all see me imitating the girl? And y'all see that? Y'all not saying them. Anyway, well, go ahead. This is all Haitians. This is what you said. It's not just one girl. Y'all said a lot. Somebody said a lot in the chat room.
Someone don't Black American. Where you from? Dinky what Abdulli from.
But what do you mean Black American, African American?
Black American people that were born Tennessee, Black American that were born in the United States. Their parents too.
Can't even speak
in the United States. In the United States.
That's why I ain't gonna lie. Like, I hate when people be like, "Oh, you're lucky" and stuff like that. Oh, I hate when people gripe and be like, "Oh," like, especially like, I feel like Americans, because I mean we in America, so Americans who have lines and lines and lines and lines of family here and they complaining, I'd be like, bro, I don't want to hear nothing you gotta say.
Right, bro. I ain't never met my. Y'all sat there and kept fucking up. Each generation, y'all just keep fucking up.
Yeah.
And don't.
So this is what they really think about us. You see what I mean? I'm saying, and so it's not just one person. You can say, oh no, it's just one person that called y'all dirty Black America. One is enough. Okay. But again,
don't figure out, okay, maybe I'm fucking up. Look, what's the right way to do this shit? Exactly. And then want to point the finger at the white man, like, oh, the white man did it. No, fuck that. Figure out.
Identify yourself as a color. It was always as a nationality. This is where we come from. This is who we are. I was always a Haitian.
And they gonna send you back to Haiti, sir. I'm glad you announced I'm always a Haitian. In other words, I've never tried to say I'm Black. I've never tried to assimilate and be Black American. No. I'm Haitian. Okay, hold that. Somebody type TPS in the chat room.
I was never a Black. I was always a Haitian. A Jamaican was always a Jamaican. They were never a Black Jamaican. You know? So 2014, when I moved to America to go to school, this is when I fill out a form and it says race. I didn't even know the word race had two different meanings until then. So I said race. It says Black, white, Hispanic, Latino, Asian. And I told the lady, I said, I'm from Haiti. I'm Haitian.
Okay. So here's the thing. That's something you should have learned before you got here. And I'm sure there was Black people that tried to educate you on that. But the bottom line is, folks, it's not just a one-off. All right. So again, when you say all that sort of stuff, okay, when you're disrespectful like that and you say those things like that, and then, the following week, right, you find out, because that's a lot of arrogance. You come into another person's country and you speaking ill on an indigenous group, and now we're supposed to feel sorry for you. You see? And so you got all online. Let's listen to this because there's some this going on too.
Y'all finna see me cry on this dumbass app for the first time, bro. No one fucking, like, not being born in the fucking U.S. is so fucking hard. Like, this is so hard. They literally treat you like an alien for everything. I get it. Okay, cool. I'm a fucking alien, but bro, I can't do
Baby, you are an illegal alien. That's why they call it that. You are literally an illegal alien. That's the word for it, baby. And I feel sorry for you. I feel sorry for you. But that's what happens when you move to other countries and you don't have your paperwork. Somebody type temporary in the chat room.
shit. Like, this shit fucking sucks. And then it's like, dumbass, ignorant ass people be talking about fucking immigrants. Well, bitch, like, this shit's not fucking fun. You think this shit's fucking fun? Like,
I know
literally.
it's not fun. I know it's not fun. I know it's not fun. Nobody's saying it's fun. And nobody is saying it's fun. But again, okay, you want sympathy, okay? And I want to give you sympathy. But see, here's the problem that you understand. You got a whole lot of anti-black sentiment, okay? Because see, let me give you a little taste of this before. Okay, I want you to remember this part. Okay, this is the part.
I'm sorry. Whatever. You Americans, just your non-cultured ass. I don't even say nothing. Go eat. Dirty black American?
Wait, what?
Huh? She just said that. I did. A dirty black American. I sure did. Because that's what
Dirty black. That's what you said. That's what your people said. You got to hold that. Okay, so then when you get on the internet and you know you hooping and hollering and crying and whatnot, you got to understand something. Listen now. Listen.
This dumbass app for the first time, bro. No one fucking, like, not being born in the fucking U.S. is so fucking hard. Like,
and we feel sorry for you, but then we see this. See, we see this.
I don't like this. Like, why are you telling me I have to do this because I'm black when it's been already pointed out that I'm Haitian? Why do I now have to submit to this idea of being black? That makes absolutely no sense to me. And that's what you.
Somebody type I'm Haitian in the chat room. So the question is, you know, what are we supposed to do with that now? I know you're not crying to everybody. Okay, I know you're not crying to white people. Okay, because again, this is a black and white country. And black people, the foundation of Black Americans have said, nah, we good. Y'all deal with it. And so the white people, you don't think they know the difference between Haitians and foundation of Black America? Let me help you understand something. Let me show you something that you just need to understand. Okay.
You don't get with other visible minorities. Because they are foundational people. They've been here for so long. If they're not American, then what are they? Andrew Anglin has articles about this from the Daily Storm, a white supremacist. He says, if they aren't American, then what are they? Where can we deport them to? Right? So he talks about ethno-states and breaking up in America. But he doesn't hold that same level of, I guess, even compassion or proximity to Indians or Arabs or Chinese people because they...
Now, again, remember when I told you all earlier, this is a black and white country. And when I say black and white, I mean foundational Black American or heritage white American. And that's white folks that can trace their heritage back for generations. They know the difference and we know the difference. Okay. Now we as Black Americans say, hey, yeah, come on in. Let's be black together. And you all have repeatedly said, oh, no. We're not black like you. And that was a mistake. And so once the white folks said, well, you know, the Black Americans don't deal with these people like that. They said, well, let's get rid of them. They don't even have the stamp of approval of Black Americans. So what you've learned is, you know, that thing that they said Black Americans have no power. You don't think all this land we own and all these lawyers we have and all these law schools and all this heritage and politicians and all our military, I think the military is 13% Black. You don't think that we have power and influence? We don't have to be a large minority, but we are entirely one of the greatest influences on the American ethos and the American public and how it operates. And so you made a mistake. You made a mistake by undervaluing and playing as if you didn't understand who has the major influence in this country. But I'm gonna let this gentleman finish speaking.
They aren't foundational. They're not part of the nation. When I go into a service station, I get the coffee, and there's an Indian or a Chinese guy or an Arab behind the counter, I intuitively just feel more American than them, even though I'm Australian. It's because I'm part of the Anglosphere. You know, I'm close to.
He said, I'm Australian and I feel more American than an Indian. You understand what I'm saying? Again, you all don't have to believe me. I came from the premise that this is a black and white country. And what they're telling you is that if you are a white person, this is part of the Anglosphere. He means Britain, Ireland, Scotland. He's talking about Poland, Australia, Germany. This is what he's saying. He said, but with black Americans, no, they got me beat because they were foundational in this country. Now, I know you all don't like when I say stuff like that. It sounded controversial. What does he mean this is a black American country? What about the Latinos? What about the Native Americans? You're right. The territory that this country was founded on, it was occupied by those people. But as far as these United States and the Constitution, the contract that binds these states together, it is an Anglosphere. That's what the gentleman's saying. I'm not saying it. And in that are foundational black Americans. So this is the philosophy that you're dealing with. And this is why you're getting treated like you're getting treated. Don't be angry with me. I'm just pointing it out. I'm just here answering questions. Let's keep listening.
To an American than I am to an Indian or a Chinese guy. But I wouldn't have that same level of, I guess, foreign alien when I saw a black American, because I know that black American's more American than me. And, you know, third world refugees and immigrants, they know this. And that's why they punch down so heavy. Well, they think they're punching down, but they're not really, because black Americans are godfathered into Americanness the same way that they can only hope to be. But it's not going to happen. And so
you hear what he said? You will never be an American. No matter how many generations, and I'm going to say it again, whether if you're a Chinese or if you're a Indian, if you're an Arab, you will never be considered an American. You can be a citizen, okay, but you're not an American. And let me explain something to you. I want you all to understand something. Recently, Clarence Thomas pointed out something in his dissent in Barber v. Trump. He pointed out in that 77-page dissent, black Americans were Americans before they were citizens. Think about that. Think about the power of that. We were Americans. By definition, we were Americans. It was only after the 14th Amendment and us earning our citizenship through war fighting, through forced labor, through everything that we had expended, that's when we earned our citizenship. So even though citizenship has been cheapened because of this Supreme Court ruling, anybody who can come over here and have a baby, drop a baby off, the baby is a citizen, he has as much rights as a foundational black American or a heritage white American. Bottom line is, you might be a citizen, but you'll never be considered American. Foundational black Americans are Americans. We're as American and more American than most white folk. You understand the difference? What I'm saying? If you're a Caribbean person and you don't fall in line and associate yourself or immerse yourself in foundational black American culture, that means marrying in, becoming one with, your children will always be treated like non-Americans. But once you become a heritage black American or heritage American or foundational black American, you're an American. That's how it goes. This is a mentality you're dealing with. Now, some people are saying, oh no, this is racist, this is big. I'm not saying, I'm just explaining what this gentleman from Australia is telling.
It's kind of crazy. It's a crazy phenomenon.
Okay. Now, again, okay, I'm just trying to help you all understand. You don't have to like what I'm saying, but this is who you're dealing with. All right. Now check this out. I want you to listen to this guy. And he is you guys are familiar with Donald Trump when he said they're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs. Yeah. Well, this gentleman is in Springfield, Ohio. I want you to hear what he has to say about his experience with Haiti, because I'm trying to explain to you all that white people do distinguish between non-foundational Black Americans and Black people from the other countries?
What's happening in Springfield? A Haitian invasion.
How many Haitians do you think have been sent here?
20,000. That's what they're saying.
And who pays for their housing?
Government assistance. You know, some of them do work.
He didn't say Black people. He said Haitians. Keep going.
You know, the way I understand it, you know, a lot of them work at Dole, and Dole's paying for their houses. The staffing place on High Street, they said they was paying them like $12.50 an hour. So.
Did Springfield's residents used to work at Dole, and now they?
Yes. Yes.
So have they lost their jobs to Haitians?
Yeah, a lot of them has. And then, you know, we're supposed to call them visitors, neighbors, whatever. You know, if you start talking about them, you're supposed to
call them visitors. You can't call the Haitians illegal immigrants. Or you can't say that. You got to call them visitors. Think about neighbors. This is, I mean, look at that. Or you risk the chance of losing your job. This is what this gentleman is saying. You don't think this is creating animosity? I'm just asking. You don't think this is creating animosity? You think these folk feel sorry for you? Because see, there was a lady online crying about being a Haitian and how she's, you know, it's hard being an immigrant, but you're not currying any favor with these people. You see? So who you crying to? You crying to Black America? You told us we were dirty. Are you crying to white America? Who you crying to? Okay. This is what we're dealing with. Let's let him finish.
To be nice. And we talked to a lady a couple nights ago, and she said if she wasn't nice about it, you know, nice to them and talk about them nice, she could lose her job over it.
So you're supposed to call the Haitians visitors?
Yes. Neighbors, visitors.
Neighbors, visitors.
Freedom of speech. We can call them whatever we want. Yeah, the past 4 years they've been coming in here, but within the last 6 to 8 months, they've really come in.
Really?
I guess they're trying to get them all over here before Trump gets in office. And, you know, with the rumors about the ducks and the geese, I mean, I've never seen them with one, but they thinned out the population real good.
He said the ducks and the geese, the population of ducks and geese have thinned out in Springfield, Ohio. So again, okay, I'm just playing videos at this point. You all have to take a listen. Now, you know, we have to understand that the other thing associated with that is that, as I said earlier, when a lot of these people talk about foundational Black Americans, they're talking about all Americans, and it is very unpatriotic. You cannot talk about an indigenous group of people to this country. You cannot talk about a group of people who were here at the founding and us all Americans, that's Black Americans and white Americans, recognize that you're actually talking about America in general, but you're too afraid to say it directly to white folk generally. Okay, so you think you can pick on Black people, but we can all sense it. Now, I found this video to be very interesting. I'm gonna let this play because this guy points out that these people are not even loyal. Listen to what he has to say. It's very interesting exchange, especially considering the fact that this guy's Indian.
I regret what I came from.
That's a difficult question.
Bro, you're not American. I'm sorry.
Listen to what he said.
America first.
He's asking him, Haiti first or America first? Somebody type America first in the chat room.
America first. I regret what I came from.
That's a difficult question.
Bro, you're not American. I'm sorry. That's an easy question. Ask me that question. You're really not an immigrant. You're American. You were born here.
I'm 1,000% on the ground.
Again, there's a difference between being an American and being a citizen. Black Americans, foundational Black Americans, are American. We're loyal to this country. We were Americans before we had a right to vote. We were Americans while we were enslaved. We were still Americans. You understand what I'm saying? Is that because oftentimes we associate being an American with being a citizen, but it was Black Americans who, hell, we were Americans before we even had the privileges of citizenship. Just think about that. But let's listen to him grill this Haitian guy and say, you're born in America, you're a citizen, but you're not an American because this is not where your heart is. Listen to these questions. It's very revealing.
For America.
Haiti first or America? Who are you going to fight for in a war? If there's a conflict, where your loyalties lie?
America first. Do you know how I feel if you're alone?
That's a difficult question.
Bro, you're not American. I'm sorry. That's an easy question. Ask me that question.
I'm not really interested in that question, to be honest with you.
Bro, you know what you need to do, bro? You need to go back to Haiti. That's what you need to do. You need to go back to Haiti, bro. Go back to Haiti. If you're gonna live in America and you're not gonna say America first, then you shouldn't be in America. You shouldn't be an American citizen. There should be a rule in the citizen test. I'm sorry. Like, this needs to stop. Haiti first.
All right. So again, I'm just trying to lay out a point, and I'm sure people are going to challenge me on the fact that there's a difference between having citizenship and being an American. Foundational Black Americans were Americans before we were citizens. And that's the difference between us and them. And again, this sort of attitude, this sort of position that a lot of folks take towards the United States and Americans is what makes people say, look, y'all got to go. We tired of dealing with you. You know, you all got to go. And the funny part about it is, you know, have y'all ever heard of Haitians for Trump? Do y'all remember? Did y'all know there was a Haitians for Trump? I want you to think about that. Let me remind you of something that you didn't know about. Listen to this. I mean, this is Haitians for Trump. They're blaming Black Americans for TPS, and they had a whole Haitians for Trump. Somebody type Haitians for Trump in the chat room. Look at that little Haitians for Trump sign right there. I mean, they literally voting to have themselves put out. What did you think was going to happen? What, again, did you all think that Donald Trump wouldn't deport you? Because the only group of Black folks in America that we know won't be deported are foundational Black Americans. Okay, and I know you all think we're all the same, but it's different. We're foundational to this country, and I love that name. Shout out to Tariq Nasheed. The brother is brilliant and creative. He came up with that term, foundational Black American, and it hits perfect. It is the perfect legal term to distinguish us from these other groups of people that come in, especially when it comes down to delineation and separation. But Haitians for Trump. Come on, type Haitians for Trump in the chat. I mean, look at the passion in that song. All the passion. It's a lot of passion. Haitians for Trump. I'm gonna keep that around. We need to hold on to that. That is history right there. So again, you know, all that, and it didn't work. Okay, all that, and you know, Trump got elected, and now you all are dealing with the fact that you know, you having to come with some harsh realities. You got that legal system, and you're not protected by Black people from it.
For certain individuals under the court ruling, they no longer have status. TPS was temporary. It was never meant to be a permanent status. You no longer have that option. You have to go back to a country that either take you or back to the country you came from. And if you deport yourself, which we will give you $2,600 plus a plane ticket to go home, you had the opportunity at that point to fill out it legally for a visa or another way to come back in this country. But you have to come in through our immigration systems and follow our laws, not illegally. But if we have to arrest you and deport you, that option of coming back in this country is off the table. So we would encourage everybody that fell under TPS, that is no longer temporary protected status for you. Your time has expired.
Victory on TPS.
Your time is expired. If we had, in other words, it was temporary, not permanent. Your time is expired. If we have to come get you, you will never come back to the United States. Sell your house, sell your car, tell your girlfriend and your baby mama and your baby daddy goodbye, and we don't know where you're going to go, but you got to get up out of here. That's basically what this gentleman's saying. That's cold-hearted. That's cold-hearted. But again, the question is, why are you all blaming Black America? Why are you lashing out at Black Americans? Why are you lashing out at Black Americans? We didn't have anything to do with this. 92% of Black women voted for Kamala Harris. 79% of Black men voted for Kamala Harris. Why are you all lashing out at Black Americans? It makes no sense until you realize they think they can get away with lashing out at us because they don't think anything can happen. But see, we've already done what we're going to do, and that is sat down. You see? That is sat down. You don't see Black folk out there jumping in front of these assuming these. We're not doing it. We're not doing it. You see? Just not going to happen. It doesn't matter how many of our so-called Black leaders say what we should do and how we should be compassionate. They're not doing it at all. They're not going to do it because you have been very disrespectful. You've been very disrespectful, and this is not a two-way street. Let me run that back to you again. Black Americans don't owe you anything. And some people say, well, they've been disrespectful to us. You're in our country. When we come to Jamaica or Uganda or Nigeria or Haiti or any one of those other Black countries, you telling us that they have to give us respect? They don't owe us anything. You come there, you stay in a hotel, you spend your money, you keep your hands inside the vehicle at all times, you get on a plane and go home. When you come to the United States as a foreign Black people don't owe you any deference. You shouldn't have come to the country if you didn't want to deal with the people here. That's what folk don't understand. It's like somebody comes to your house and you got to pay them all kind of deference and respect. No, you can get out, especially if you're temporary. That's how the real world is. I bet you won't go to Saudi Arabia and tell them that, well, you need to respect my religion because this is my religion and I'm a Third-day Adventist Baptist Southern Christian Methodist Muslim from from Mars. You see what I'm saying? You don't have to do that. Let's keep listening. Let's keep listening.
Yes. Are you going to be going after Haitians living in the country, Syrians living in the country? What's the path forward?
Well, I hate when it's phrased going after individuals. The fact is, TPS for certain individuals under the court ruling, they no longer have status. TPS was temporary. It was never meant to be a permanent status. You had an opportunity while you were here to possibly try to change your status. Now that the court ruling has went out, you no longer have that option. You have to go back to a country that either take you or back to the country you came from. And if you deport yourself, which we will give you $2,600 plus a plane ticket to go home, you have the opportunity at that point to fill out it legally for a visa or another way to come back in this country. But you have to come in through our immigration systems and follow our laws, not illegally. But if we have to arrest you and deport you, that option of coming back in this country is off the table.
If we have to arrest you and deport, you see that? Okay. Haitian, you see that white man up there? That's who's him and Trump. Black folk didn't have nothing to do. We barbecue and enjoying Juneteenth and 4th of July. We ain't got nothing to do with that, man. Why are you angry? Why are y'all online lashing out at us? That's what I want to understand. Most foundational Black Americans want to understand why is this our problem? What do we do? What did we do? Even the white folks are looking like, why are they mad at the Black Americans? What are they wrong? They don't even understand. But again, it's just a cheap shot. They feel like this is a place in which they can vent their frustration. They need to be mad at somebody. Be mad at yourselves. Be mad at the fact that you don't have infrastructure in your country. Be mad at the fact that the leaders that you've had have squandered your wealth and squandered your money. Be mad at the fact that you have gangs roving the hillside, who are unalike. That's from your culture. That is that superior culture that you all have, that you say is better than Black American culture. The food, the culture that you all brag on having, your own language, your own country. Now you have an opportunity to go back to. And that goes for all of the immigrants who've been disrespectful to Black Americans. All of you all. You understand what I'm saying? And this is the position that Black Americans have taken. We're tired of you all dumping on us. I'm just pointing out what the brothers and sisters are saying here. Okay, again, we are foundational to this country, and everybody knows it. Even Trump from the presidential pulpit to say, hey, the foundation, the Black Americans and their contribution has been invaluable to the United States. We wouldn't be who we are. We are who we are. We know who we are, and we are who you think we are. But let's keep listening. Let's keep on listening.
So we would encourage everybody that fell underneath TPS, that is no longer temporary protected status for you. Your time has expired.
Your time is expired.
Go to our website, sign up for self-deportation. We'll help you get to the country that you came from, or get you to the country that are willing to.
We're going to get you there. You're going to get out of here.
Fill out the paperwork, and maybe you can come back and participate in the American dream.
Nah, they're not coming back. Don't lie to them, sir. They're not. Once you're gone, you're gone. You're not. The house you paid for, the car, all the stuff you put in storage, your clothes, all that is gone. That is going to be, your homes are going to be sold. They're going to be put on the market. Your baby mama's going to move on. Okay. Your baby daddy's going to get a new baby mama. It's out. You out of here. You are out of here. Temporary. That's what temporary means, family. That's what. And I'm not being funny. Okay. Raphael Hoyt, I'm not being funny. I'm trying not to be funny, Dr. Sharon. I'm not being funny. This is a very serious matter. There are people who are hurting. Okay. And I am kinder and gentler. Okay. I am kinder and I will not, okay, be funny here. Okay. However, okay, it's a lot to talk about. And sometimes it needs to be said. Now, you know who else is not funny, along with me being not funny? Let me show you who's not funny, because she said it she said it with her chest. You want to see who's not funny? Uh-oh.
On for over a dozen years. Go home. Get out. We know our country's better than yours. That's because we filled it with our work ethic and our culture and our values. You being here only dilutes it for us, those who built it and live it. And half of you people, more than half, you won't assimilate. We don't want you. We don't care if you're offended. Get out. Go home. Go back to Haiti. Sorry. I'm thinking about our friends in Ohio who've been dealing with these TPS.
Why is it? What? No, I mean, nobody likes Haitians. What did the Haitians do? Nobody. I don't understand that. What y'all be doing? I don't live around a lot of Haitians. I met a couple of Haitians online, okay, but I don't understand what did y'all do to make everybody mad at y'all. Aren't y'all like? I mean, I don't know. I'm gonna let it. I don't want to say nothing to hurt nobody's feelings because I'm kinder and gentler. Let's keep
Haitians for years now, who are drunk driving all over their towns and killing people. This is the whole cats and dogs thing. Like they don't want to live like Americans live. And this was supposed to be it was supposed to be temporary help. And it's turned into another backdoor way of allowing someone permanent residency here. And they take advantage of all of our public services and our systems, and they're not respectful in many cases of their neighbors. It's like, it had to end. We're sick of all these illegals taking over our country. Get out. Go home. We don't want you. Sorry, but we don't. Like, and you know what? Poll virtually any Black American or Hispanic American, and they agree with me. It's not about race.
She said black people. She said they have polled the black people. The black people said, yeah, we don't fool with them either. And they said, well, we good to go. That's basically what happened. Somebody typed power in the chat room. Somebody typed power in the chat. Remember they said Black Americans don't have power? Remember when they said that? Remember that? We don't have power. They said we polled the Black Americans, and the Black Americans said go home. Say we don't fool with them. And they said, well, oh my God, free ticket. This is not racial, even though it might be some secret racism going on. Bottom line is you all have made a terrible mistake by disrespecting foundational Black Americans. We have been the only group of people in this country who have been able to sway this country to steer towards its better angels and live up to its founding ideals. And the idea that you would disrespect us and say we have no power and we are dirty Black Americans. Because see, you're not just talking about the people you don't like. You're talking about me too. You're talking about my family. You're talking about my children. You're talking about my lineage. You're calling all of us. You're talking about our history. You're talking about our future. This is what you say about us. Why would we want people like you in this country? See, why would we want people like you in this country? Somebody type power. We have exercised the power not to exercise our power. And because we're not exercising our power and coming to your aid, y'all got to go. And that's a lesson you should learn. You shouldn't mess with people who are indigenous. You don't mess with. This is the best lesson these folk can learn. Let's keep going.
Or Hispanic American, and they agree with me. It's not about race. It's about cultural differences. Americans live a certain way. We have certain cultural norms that we abide by. Like when we go to the supermarket, we don't open up the jars and start tasting shit as we're walking.
Yeah. Remember when I said earlier, and I'm going to say it again, that I think America was better when it was just white Americans and Black Americans, because we had cultural cohesion. We spoke the same language. We worshiped the same God, even in different churches. We respected each other's boundaries. Our food mirrored each other. I'm just pointing that out. Okay. We had a lot less of what we have now before 1965 when these folks started coming. When it was just heritage white Americans and foundational Black Americans, when the country was just populated by those two groups, we fought it out, but we were making progress. We put a man on the moon together. We brought forth civil rights together. We fought successful wars together. You see, I'm just pointing that out. Now, again, there's room for everybody in this country, but it's always going to be a Black and white country, no matter what you all say. And that is just that's just an observation that anybody with eyes can see.
Walking around with our toddler in the cart. But these whole countries, like Haiti, it is a shithole. I'm sorry, like that's why the people don't want to be there. It's not because the people are Black that it's obviously not. We have a very large Black population in the United States. They don't make the United States. This isn't about the race of the people. It's about the country, the customs, and the culture.
We have a very large population of Black Americans, and they don't make Black America a shithole. So what does that tell you? I want you to read into that, because I did a broadcast about a month ago. Somebody typed "This ain't us" in the chat room. I don't have access to the type of research I need, but it is my humble opinion that when you have an influx of Black people from other countries and they come to this country, whether it's in places like New York or Miami or New Jersey, they don't just bring their culture, they bring their crime. They bring their DV. They bring their anti-woman attitudes. They bring their degeneracy and their drug habits. And it's my humble opinion that when those folk came up here, they also brought a whole lot more crime, a lot more sinister crime with them. And so because of that, some of the crime statistics allotted to Black America in general are realistically because you have had an influx in Black immigrants. And so you heard what she said? Listen, I want you to listen to this very careful and tell me what you think it means.
Large Black population in the United States. They don't make the United States. This isn't about the race.
Now, she said poop hole, okay? We have a large population of Black Americans in the United States, and they don't turn America into a poop hole. So what does that tell you she probably is aware of? It probably means, to me, she's aware that these immigrants bring with them crime and drama and all those other stuff. And so, and it's very apparent when you look in places like Haiti and you look at some of these other African countries, they got a lot of crime, a lot of issues. They have a lot of strong men and a lot of cultural issues, and they don't stop being who they are when they come to the United States. So who's making these Black communities these poop holes? I'm just asking. I'm not saying that, you know, but it's a lot of drugs and it's a lot of criminality coming up here from the Caribbean and South America, whether we're talking about through rap music. Look at all the raunchy rappers. And where did they come from? Luke from the Bahamas. Trina, I believe she's Trinidadian. What's the other girl's name? Nicki Minaj, Trinidadian. They do all that stuff. Biggie Smalls, he's from his family's from Jamaica. Lil Kim, and she was the first with the freaky stuff. She's Jamaican. And so that's part of their culture. That sexual energy is something that they brought with them and they inserted it in the rap. And that, along with the criminality, to get it how you live culture, I'm gonna get all I can. I'm gonna go back to my culture. What does that say? I'm gonna let Megan finish cooking.
Of the people. It's about the country, the customs, and the culture.
Yep.
Sorry. The way it is.
Yeah. Now, before you all say that, Megyn Kelly is just a racist and, we have to disavow everything she says, I want to point out the fact that there are a lot of Black Americans who are saying the same thing. There's a lot of Black Americans who are saying exactly what that Megyn Kelly said. So is it racism? Is it just, that's how we feel as Americans? I'm just saying, is it racism or is that how we feel?
The temporary status removal of our Haitian brothers and the other nation. Temporary status. Temporary protective status. That's what it is. Temporary protective status.
Temporary.
But to understand,
he called you brothers. He said, our brothers, temporary. Somebody type temporary to chat.
That these individuals have turned inwardly on Black Americans, foundational Black Americans. What is y'all gripe with us?
Yeah.
We didn't revoke this status for y'all. Hell, most of us would have nation after nation after nation still here, even understanding now how these individuals feel about us. Most of us, because that's how inherently forgiving and loving we are.
Speak on it, brother. Speak on it.
I revoke that. It's people who don't understand why I feel the way I feel, because we love these people. Not love them out of the fact that we didn't know them. No, I'm from a place where we love these people. We taught them language. We motherfucking protected these individuals. We
family friendly.
Included them. We taught them motherfucking English. We, the kids.
Somebody type Samuel L. Jackson in the chat room. Samuel L.
I'm so up in arms and upset at the understanding and the knowledge of how these people think about us and feel about us. Don't tell me shit. Go back home.
Go home.
Now you get to go home. You get to return to where the place, I guess, where you left. Y'all left. Y'all didn't want to have no consideration of it. Now y'all can hear the saxophones getting louder, because when they drop you back into your home land, now you got to deal with the people who you turned your back on, while you was over here trying to undermine foundational Black Americans, and we didn't.
Somebody type FBA in the chat room. Now, I just want to point out, y'all heard what Megyn Kelly said. Now, you hear what this brother is saying? Is he racist too? Because if Megyn Kelly's racist, clearly this brother's racist too. Or is this just a common sentiment amongst all Americans? I just want to ask, because see, it's easy just to disavow the little skinny white woman and say, oh, she's racist. But what happens when you have a Black American man who's saying the same thing? At that point, you probably have to just say, well, well, he don't know what he's talking about, right? That's what you want to say. He don't know what he's talking about.
Didn't even understand it up until now.
Yeah. So, I'm just saying this is what Black Americans feel. Again, this is where we are, and we didn't get here because Haitians and immigrants
has ended for a lot of immigrants in the United States. The key word in that was temporary. So it wasn't supposed to last forever. But I'm seeing a lot of immigrants who resemble me in color saying certain things like Black Americans aren't sticking up for them and we're supposed to be looking out for them. But I remember not too long ago, for many, many years and decades, y'all have always said, me no Black. I know Black. I know Black. I'm not like black people. That's what you guys said forever. I remember it vividly. I remember y'all getting over here and getting all those grants and stuff that the Democrats gave you, because they needed to use you, and they did. And you took those grants and you thought that made you better than black Americans because y'all called us lazy and said, why we can't do the same things that y'all doing because y'all getting over here and thriving, not knowing that they kept us from those very grants that they gave to you. Well, at this point, I want you to keep the same energy, okay? I would speak up, I would fight, but I'm too lazy, remember? And also,
that's right. We too lazy to fight. Somebody type we lazy in the chat room. Somebody type resting. That's exactly right. We're not gonna work hard at helping you all fight with ICE. We're not gonna do it. That's what this sister said. I didn't say it because I'm kinder and gentler. Not me, but that's what she said. So I'm gonna let her say it some more.
All skin folk ain't kinfolk. Y'all made sure that we knew that all of these years because you always said, me no black. I know black. Oh no, I know black. So I want y'all to keep that same energy, okay? Now that the temporary protected status, that's over. Remember, I know black. Okay, good talk. I'll talk to y'all later.
I'm too excited. She sounds a little too excited. I'm demure, okay? Mindful. But she was a little too excited. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure you take the opportunity to subscribe to the channel right now. I have to say that. I shouldn't have to say that. Okay, but we're trying to march our way on up the ladder here. If you would do that, I certainly would appreciate that. Now I have another brother here. I want you to hear what he has to say. These are regular foundational black. These are regular black Americans telling you what they really think. Since we call Megyn Kelly racist, let's see what these brothers and sisters have to say.
They don't want a black American president.
Why not?
Because if I was the president, boy, I would have ended that TPS shit the first day I was sworn in. This foreign aid going to all these foreign countries gone. These programs to help these other countries develop gone.
No.
Man, you got me fucked up.
Now look at this brother. I want y'all to look at this brother right here. Look at him. Brother, you supposed to be a Democrat. Okay, you don't look like a Republican, but I just want y'all to understand, just when they say black Americans are not conservative, this brother right here, he looked like he just come out the fields. It looked like you got a 200-pound sack of cotton right on your hip, and you walking in, you just took your straw hat off. Bro, somebody said barbershop. Barbershop, bro, he is right there with Trump. This dude right here, he is right-wing Republican right there. You would never know. But let's keep living. Let's keep listening to the side to what this brother has to say. Shout out to Lobito and Queen Lioness Judah. Keep going.
Why am I sending you money to help you to prevent you from getting AIDS? Why am I funding your fight against this? That's so stupid to me. If you look at the amount of foreign aid that go to foreign countries, trust me, with me in charge and gone, goodbye.
Yeah, we can't put sorry. So that's ruthless. Okay, you're not supposed to say stuff like that because you're black. Okay, you're supposed to be like pro rainbow, pro help everybody else. Even if American infrastructure is falling apart, even if we need better schools in our community, even if our major American cities are overrun with crime and drugs, and we're still supposed to be more compassionate. Why did somebody call his brother Booker T. Deshaun? I hate y'all. Booker T. Deshaun. Let me get him out of here. You made me lose my train of thought, man. Yeah, man. but yeah, like, look, this is just good common sense. That you don't need a degree in political science from Harvard to figure out that you need to take care of America first. Somebody type America first. You don't need that. But yeah, man, this is crazy. And then they got the nerve to be disrespectful to black Americans. What did you think was going to happen? Did you think the white folk would notice that when we said, "No, you got them, y'all can handle that," huh?
So right now, two countries that TPS holders that are on the chopping block right now. You got Syria and you got Haiti, and out of these two countries, the only country right now that's got a lot of noise and making a whole lot of mess, and the media is really pushing so hard, are Haitians. And I feel like, the reason why the media is pressing so hard, pushing about,
I don't like that little noise in the back, but let's listen to what she has to
going to
say.
affect a lot of, Haitian TPS holders, because they're trying to push a racial narrative. Because even when you look at the numbers, compared to Syrians and Haitians, yes, they are more Haitian TPS holders than they are Syrians. But I feel like they're pushing it so hard, and the mainstream media is concentrating so much on Haiti or Haitians, is because they want to push this racial divide, and they want to push this racial narrative that, the Trump administration, they're being racist, look who they're targeting, they're trying to
Here's the thing.
They're trying to deport all these black Haitians to get them out of the country. It's all done by design.
See, what they're trying to do is, by saying it's racial, is to try to get Black Americans to get involved, because traditionally what's happened in the United States is that Black Americans unify on color. We don't unify on the fact that, we're from the same city. We don't have tribes. We're a small population. So we didn't have the luxury of unifying because of a religion or color or where you were born or, whether you're light skin or dark skin. We didn't do that. We knew we were all in it together. And so typically if something happened to one of us and it was pointed, we always look at the racial angle. We did that. And that's the matter. That's how we survived. These people from these other countries like Haiti, they live in countries where they're the dominant groups, just a bunch of people that look the same. Same thing in Nigeria, a bunch of people that look the same. So they had the luxury of dividing themselves up by color, religion, tribe. I'm Yoruba, I'm Igbo, etc. We don't do that. Now, when we tried to unify with the Haitians, and unify with these other people, say, hey, we're all Black, come with. Guess what they said? I'm not Black, I'm Haitian. And we like, okay, well, do you know where you are? Do you know that you're in the United States of America? You're in the United States of America. Oh, no, I'm Haitian. I'm not Black. I'm Haitian. Okay, got it. And so now, then they start talking stuff. Well, you know what? Matter of fact, I'm Haitian. I'm better than you. I'm Haitian. I work harder. I'm Haitian. I have a better culture. I'm Haitian. My food is better. Haitian. The women like me better. Okay, cool. And now that the TPS status is being revoked, they say, oh no, we're Black. We're Black. We need to unify on our Black thing. Do you see the slap in the face? Black folks told you. We told you. We've been telling you. And now, when the poop has hit the fan, okay, now he's, oh no, we're Black now. No, we're not getting off the bench. Black American, and then on top of that, Black Americans are the only ones in America to get to tell when there's anti-Black racism going on. You didn't realize that? If Black Americans don't put the stamp on the anti-Black racism, then it's not. That's why sometimes, they're shocked at the fact that Black people don't get behind certain cases and say, oh, well, that's racism. Nah, that he deserves to go to prison. Yeah, he deserved that from the police. There's some cases that Black folk like, yeah, it might be a little racism in there, but overall speaking, he or she deserved it. And so now what you're dealing with is you got a whole bunch of Black people who are saying, yeah, temporary means temporary. Yeah, we heard what Megyn Kelly said. We heard what the Director of Homeland Security said. We heard what Trump said. He said y'all were eating the cats and eating the dogs. But temporary still means temporary. And the fact that you all don't like us and have called us dirty Black Americans and all these horrible things, we're not really going to stand in the cut for you. And so this is where, as we say down south, you toe your draws. Somebody type toe your draws. And I know I promise not to speak Ebonics, but whatever. You all get what I'm saying. They toe their draws with us. We're not designating this an anti-Black American or anti-Black act of sending people home when they had temporary status. And so y'all SOL. Okay, you out of luck. It's not gonna happen. You're going and we're not gonna provide cover for you. But let's keep on listening to Black people explain why this is not racism. We try to tell you.
The TikTok, y'all. Ooh, they mad at Black folks.
Why? Why they mad?
We everything but a child of God over there.
they making it seem like we are the ones who ended temporary status. No, we didn't. It was the Supreme Court. If black people had our way, we would have ended birthright citizenship, and all their asses would have went back home. So we don't got that. We don't got that kind of power, but they show mad at us like we do. And what I don't get about Haitians is that most of them have a connection back to Haiti. And they could have been establishing themselves there all this time, but they chose not to when they knew temporary status was temporary status. So now that the government is saying, you know, we let you in, now it's time for you to go home, they mad at black people.
What you mad at us for?
But these are the ones that tell us, oh, you didn't have the power to let us in this country, no way. So how we got the power to make you leave?
Yeah, we are the reason that they let them in the country in the first place. Before the Hart-Celler Act of 1965, which came on the heels of the Civil Rights Act, we literally had a ban on brown, black, and Asian people coming to this country that was decades old. But because of that, because of the Civil Rights Movement, we stopped the racism at the federal level, and that's why folks are here in the first place. So, but here's the thing: we're not getting behind you. Because you've been disrespectful. Again, this is the problem with disrespecting an indigenous people or a foundation of Black Americans, whether you want to call us Solon people, ADOS, whatever. We know who we are, and they know who we are. And when you disrespect one, you probably disrespecting all. And even though Black Americans and white Americans, we have disagreements, one thing we do understand is that we are going to put America first. Even a Democrat who voted for Kamala Harris, Barack Obama, if you really sit down and talk to them and start talking about the things that are good for America, they will have to agree that, yeah, that is an America first policy. Who wouldn't want America to be put first if you live in America, your family's in America, you benefit from America? And secretly, a lot of Black people actually support what we see going on in immigration and thinning out this herd of people who are coming here siphoning off our resources. Let's keep listening.
We just in the peanut gallery over here cheerleading like a motherfucker. Yeah, I think they mad because we ain't, you know, rushing down to Washington, D.C. and petitioning and protesting for them to stay. Nah, not after 20 years of 30 years of being in this country with them giving us their ass to kiss. No, they can go home now.
Go home. White type, go home. You got to go.
We don't got to go nowhere. So it's
she got a little sinister laugh. She don't even move her mouth, but she just sitting there. Yeah, 20, 30 years old, going on. They need to get on up out of here. You know what you talking about? You could get on up out of here. Y'all need to get on up out of here and get on home. She scared me. You scared me, baby. I don't want you. That's scary. If you put like a flashlight under her light and had her look in the mirror in the bathroom, that would scare children. That was scared children.
You know, interested in watching them be upset with us and not white people.
Go home. Yeah, I can't do it.
When we're what, 13% of the population, including them. White people's the ones who's ready for it to go more than we is.
The only thing keeping these Black immigrants here was Black people still provided the cover for them. But the minute y'all made us upset, you got to understand this is where we are. And I know it's hard to understand because you all thought, oh, those lowly Black people don't have anything to do with anything. They can't stop us. And clearly it's a problem. Shout out to Sharonda Sewell. Thank you so much, Sharonda Sewell. I'm going to let some more videos play, and then we're going to go ahead and get to the main broadcast because I have a lot to talk about. I got a couple more good ones, and then we're going to keep it pushing because I want you all to really absorb something. There's some very important lessons in here. Let's check this out.
Me knows I am the team, my people. All nationalities of my people are my people. Even though I have gone through negative experiences, I don't hold it against all. Now, with all this TPS stuff going on with the Haitians, I am trying to figure out how did that become a Black American issue?
Yeah, why is this not problem?
I keep seeing me knows I am the team, my people. All nationalities of my people are my people. Even though I have gone through negative experiences, I don't hold it against all. Now, with all this TPS stuff going on with the Haitians, I am trying to figure out how did that become a Black American issue?
Yeah, it's not a Black problem.
I keep seeing all these videos now, all of a sudden, I don't know what side of TikTok I'm on, about how we're not helping, we're the problem, just talking negative about Black Americans when these are the same people they're looking for help. We are the same people that other nationalities of Black tell us we don't have culture, tell us we're lazy, tell us we use racism as an excuse, even though we are going through experiences.
See, here's the thing. As I said earlier, when you have these foreign immigrants come, first of all, many of these foreign people are anti-American in general. They will tell you they come to this country for an education, they come to this country to work, and they try to make it seem as though, oh, well, I'm not here, I'm not doing anything bad, I'm not doing anything wrong, I'm just here to work. In other words, I'm just here to help out. No, your mere presence on our highways and our grocery stores, occupying apartments, occupying homes, breathing our air, okay, means that we have to look at you, we have to deal with you. So you are the mere presence that you're here. It's like having a house guest and say, oh, well, I just brought my own food and put it in the refrigerator. You having your butt in my home, using my shower, using towels that I have for my family, walking your feet across my floor means you're occupying space. So I have to deal with you differently, period. That's it, okay? Same thing with folk over here. And see, what you also should recognize is a lot of these immigrants are anti-American. And so they can't pick on white America. They can't pick on America in general. You can't come up to the United States and talk about how poorly America treats your country, et cetera. So what do? You make Black Americans the proxy. You see? That's it. You just make Black Americans the proxy. Anything you want to say about America, you just throw it in Black. They're lazy. They don't want to work hard. Blah, 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 this, that, and the other. So now that they are being targeted by the system, the immigration system, and being sent home, they're doing what they're used to doing, lashing out at Black Americans because they don't want to do, well, that's unfair. Y'all let us stay up here for 15 years, 18 years. Y'all should just go ahead and let us stay. We're just here to work, you see, and it's not working. So again, this is the safe bet for them to lash out at Black America. It makes sense when you understand where these folk are coming from. It makes sense to me. Let's keep listening.
They are not saying that in that beautiful words that we are using now. So they are using N words.
So he's complaining about white folk
people
calling
are
him.
calling the community center saying it's time for you to leave.
To live, and they are not saying that in that beautiful words that we are using now. So they are using N words to tell us to leave.
Vilas Dorsonville is the.
So just the backdrop. This guy has a community center for Haitians, and remember, Haitians aren't Black; they're Haitians. Remember that they said that. So now they have people calling up after TPS dropped and calling the community center. You N-words need to go home, right? And it must be shocking to them. This gentleman right here, this handsome, full-headed hair gentleman, says he didn't realize he was Black. He thought he was Haitian, and therefore he was absolved from being referred to as the N-word. And so this is what you're dealing with. Now you're getting a reality check. Now that Black Americans have removed the cover of safety that we provided, now you're getting that full. Now you're experiencing what it's like to be Black in America. This is why we built our own HBCUs. This is why we had our own colleges and churches and neighborhoods and baseball teams and sports leagues, because we didn't want to deal with that. Okay, we had our own music. We developed because we didn't want to deal with that. But again, Black America and white America have an understanding. Typically, we have boundaries. You all are the ones who come over here and don't realize that in this country, whether you're a Ukrainian or a German, it's a white and Black country. So you got to fall in. And it's unfortunate, but that's how it is. Okay. And this is part of the American ethos. It's part of the American culture. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and let him finish for a little bit, and then we're gonna push.
The executive director of the local Haitian Support Center.
Haitian Support Center.
He's helping manage the immigration paperwork for their attorneys. What are you telling people who are calling in?
We tell them that if they have children, choose a trustworthy person and give that person power attorney in case something happens to them.
A lot of the Haitian
You would you leave your child here? You gonna leave your child here with a stranger and a power of attorney? That is crazy to me. Take your kids with you. Somebody get your kids in the chat room. Take your children with you. Don't leave your children here. You're gonna leave your children in America to be raised by strangers? That is a dereliction of duty as a parent.
population here came pretty suddenly over the last 5 years through a combination of immigration programs, but among them temporary protected status, along with just word of mouth from other U.S. communities. But as you might imagine, not everyone is happy about their presence here. But economically, the city and Republican Governor Mike DeWine have pointed to the influx as one of the reasons the area has seen an economic revitalization. Since the Supreme Court decision, he says some people have been calling in, taking a victory lap.
I experienced as a Haitian American male growing up in this country, and how it wasn't like it is today where the culture is embraced and loved. You are actually ridiculed for it, especially by other African Americans. Here we go with the mind you, I wanted to state that it wasn't all of them, but it did happen in a
We don't owe you anything. That's what I need you all to understand. Black Americans don't owe you anything. You're in our country. We don't owe you anything. It's just like me coming to Haiti and you all chastising me for my American ways. I'm in Haiti. If I don't like it, I go back to America. We don't owe you anything. What is it that makes these people who come to this country who tell us that they are not Black American and then turn around and make it seem like we owe them something? We don't owe you anything. We don't owe you comfort. We don't owe you aid. We don't owe you a kind word, especially when you tell us specifically that you're not Black American or that you're Haitian or whatever you say you are. What arrogance in you makes you think that we owe you something? What if a German man came from Germany? I have a better one. When the Italians began to immigrate, and if we have some Italians in here who have grandfathers and great-grandfathers, they will tell you when they began to come to the United States, the Italians who were already here treated the Paisas as if they were horrible. They didn't even want to be associated with them. What makes you think that we as Black Americans owe you anything? We don't. You see, we don't owe you anything. Hell, even a lot of the Hispanic people, the Mexicans, they'll tell you, yeah, when we go down to Mexico, when we're Mexican American or Tex-Mex, when we go to Mexico, they treat us like we're not real Mexicans. They'll say stuff like, you're a gringo, this is how they treat them. So what is it what makes Haitians think that we as Black Americans who have been in this country for hundreds and hundreds of years owe you all anything? We don't. And it's that arrogant attitude that makes you think that we're supposed to go front line and jump between you guys and that ICE Billy Club. We're not going to do it. And you've already proved us you haven't even earned our loyalty. We don't owe you anything. And I'm just tired of the arrogance, because unfortunately there are a lot of Black people who are trying to convince Black Americans that we owe these folks something. We don't owe them anything.
A lot of Haitian millennials can relate to this experience. I got a rebuttal video from somebody within the African American community, one small is violent, disregarding my experiences. Fine, all well and good, right? But what I find very, very interesting is this TPS situation has really proved my point, and has proved me right in regards to people within the foundational Black Americans community, their approach towards Haitians and how they are celebrating them being deported to a country that is not stable economically or politically.
What does that have to do with your country is not stable? What does that have to do with us? Why you should be complaining to Donald Trump because he's the one to sign the document that says TPS is revoked. What do we have to do with that? Why is that our problem? All you're getting from Black Americans is we told you so. We told you so. Learn your lesson. Anybody looking at them, don't be like the Haitians. Listen to us. The first people you should have connected with as a Black person who comes to this United States, forget what they told you. You need to learn from Black Americans how to conduct yourself, how to monitor watch your mouth. Don't disrespect other Americans. It doesn't matter what ethnicity they are, because they are Americans and you are not. You might be a citizen, you might be a temporary resident, but you are not an American. That's all I'm saying. Let's keep listening.
They are celebrating the fact that a lot of Haitian lives are going to be ruined, but they want to talk about Black empowerment when
we talking about foundational Black American empowerment, sir. That's what we're talking about, and you all have not helped participate in foundational Black American empowerment. What you all have done is come up here and told us we don't work hard, we're lazy, and you've carried forth that white supremacist rhetoric that came up out of the 1800s, 1990s to further give them reasons to segregate and keep us from going to housing that we wanted to live in, and redlining and Jim Crow, etc. You fed into that. Whose fault is that you bit into that lie? Because it was convenient. And now it came back and hit you right back in the wazoo.
y'all are the biggest obstacle to Black empowerment.
Really?
Black Americans are not the biggest obstacle to Black American empowerment. Sir, respectfully, shout out to Black Sand. What are you talking about? You mean we're the biggest obstacle to you all being empowered in this country and taking our position? That's the problem. Let me get him out of here because he just ran my blood pressure up. I can't take too much more of this. I cannot take too much more of this. I got one more for you. I'm gonna let y'all have it. Somebody type Roland Martin in the chat room. Somebody type Roland Martin in the chat room. Look at this. Let's check this brother out. Mm-hmm.
States and France destroyed Haiti, destroyed their economy. And so you can complain about how screwed up Haiti was. No. This country screwed up Haiti. The blockade. That's so the United States, you complaining about 350,000? Trust me, Haiti today will look 5 times as better than the other side of the island where Haiti is, the Dominican Republic. If the United States, because matter of fact, just so y'all understand history, it was Haitian president that ended slavery in the Dominican Republic, and that's how that country became independent. But you wouldn't know that, but the history, it was Haiti that freed the DR. And so had the United States and France not screwed over Haiti, that country would be so far ahead. I dare say, Michael, it would be the crown jewel of the Caribbean and the Western Hemisphere if the United States, if the racist United States had not sabotaged Haiti for more than 150 years.
That's what it is. It's America's fault. So it's America's fault. That's what Roland Martin said. Roland Martin said it's France and America's fault that they have a gang problem in Haiti. That's what you're saying. And here's the thing. That's not our problem, sir. Respectfully. That's just not a Black American problem. That's something that Haiti needs to work out with France. Okay. That's not our problem. And the fact that they need to go home, right? I guess the hurricane that happened, the earthquake that happened, that's our problem too. That's what you're saying. The temporary status, that's our problem. Again, I'm just saying, and I'm sure there are some Dominican historians who would have something to say about that. But look, America, let's just get down to the lesson. And if you all learn something, I should earn something. But I ask that you please subscribe to the channel if you hadn't already. And I want to kind of go into this so we can actually really get down to the nitty gritty so you all can walk away with something. Now, America has more than 50 million immigrants, including millions who are lawful permanent residents and millions who are naturalized citizens, millions who are temporary and who are just here unauthorized. And that's a population larger than most countries, 50 million, okay? And when large immigrant populations come to the U.S. without fully understanding American history and American citizenship and American racial politics or foundational Black American conflicts that we've had here, you know, that's a problem. The people who want America's protection, but they don't respect America as people. They want American wages, and they want to utilize American schools, and they want American opportunity and American legal protection, then turn around and speak with contempt about citizens whose country made those opportunities possible. And I'm talking about foundational Black Americans. And see, that's the failure of assimilation. Assimilation isn't just having a job. It's not just paying rent and living here for years. Real assimilation means understanding the country you're in and respecting its people, understanding foundational Black Americans aren't outsiders, we're not guests, and we're not visitors. We're foundational to the nation. Now, Black immigrants show that they've distanced themselves in a real way. And a lot of Black immigrants, especially Caribbean and Africans, come here and try to separate themselves from native-born foundational Black Americans because they believe they'll be treated better if they make that distinction, okay? They identify with their nationality or their ethnicity more so than with Black America. And some are taught not to even deal with foundational Black America. Leave those Black Americans alone. They tell them all the time, don't go over there and mess with them. They're a bunch of gangbangers and drug addicts and drug dealers, right? In other words, the stereotypes, they fall into them. And that's my point. They know FBAs are treated with contempt, so they try to separate themselves from us. But when their immigration status gets threatened, right? When they bring the temporary out, the temporary status, when their work permits get threatened, they start crying on the internet, right? They start blaming everybody else. The anger gets aimed at us, not the government, not the court, not the administration, at us. And we need to be clear, FBA didn't do this to you all. We didn't destabilize Haiti. We didn't promise you permanent status. We didn't tell you TPS was citizenship, and we didn't revoke your work permit. And so we're not obligated to absorb your rage because you're afraid to aim it at the actual government actors who made that decision. If you have a problem with America and this system, say that. If you have a problem with Donald Trump, say that. If you have a problem with the Supreme Court, that's who you need to speak with. Get your lawyers together, all right? But don't hide behind anti-Black contempt and pretend you're only talking about foundational Black Americans because America. Foundational Black Americans are Americans. We were Americans before we were citizens. And if you don't like America, if you don't like Black Americans, you just don't like Americans, period. Stand on that. And it also makes, let me tell you something else it does. You all sitting on the internet talking bad about Black folk. It makes you become a bigger target. Look at the Black immigrant groups that keep talking bad about Black Americans. Haitians, Somalians, Nigerians. Think about that. These are the groups that in many cases have had the most negative things to say about foundational Black Americans. Now look at the groups that are being targeted, that aren't being targeted. Dominicans, I ain't heard much from them. Trinidadians, Belizeans, Ugandans. Plenty of other Black and Black adjacent immigrant groups are in the United States, but they don't move the same way publicly, do they? Let's just separate them, okay? So we can't say this is just about color. It isn't. Shout out to Tech King. If it was only about being Black, then every Black immigrant group in America would be getting the same criticism, but they're not. There are about 1.3 million Dominican-born immigrants in the United States, and Dominicans are very quiet, in particular in this conflict. I hadn't heard a Dominican say nothing. You understand? Matter of fact, the Dominicans go so far, they will tell you we're not Black. And when they say we're not Black, they don't mean that they're not Black American, okay? They're not trying to differentiate themselves, but we're Black, but we're not Black. They're saying, I'm not Black at all, okay? And you may not agree with the Dominican national racial logic, but that's the point that they're making. In other words, they occupy their own space. Okay, they typically don't come to the United States and try to pretend to be foundational Black Americans so they can infiltrate Black American spaces and benefit Black America from the struggle and then turn around and talk about how bad Black Americans are. That they pretty much go about their business. I don't hear Dominican baseball players saying we're better than the old Black American baseball player. I never hear them say that. They're quiet about that. You understand? Same thing with the Trinidadians. There's about 228,000 people from Trinidad and Tobago in the United States. And you don't hear much from them in way of conflict. They're not being targeted. Same with the Belizean people. Some of y'all don't even know what Trinidad or Belize are. They're quiet. Okay, it's about 46,000 of them in the United States. And even with Belizean communities, most of them in Southern California, you don't hear Belizean people being targeted like this. They aren't. Most of them Belizeans have fully integrated into Black America. I'm not saying all the way, but if you go places like South Central LA, I grew up with some, and you wouldn't be able to tell them from Black Americans. They don't do that. Okay, they aren't out here as a group making themselves the center of anti-Black American conflict. Even when you look at African countries, you don't hear much from Ugandans, right? They're quiet. I'm just saying. I don't hear much from people from Mali. Okay, I barely hear anything from Black people from Ghana. All right, but the bottom line is when we talk about Uganda, there's 43,000 Ugandan-born immigrants in the United States, and I've yet to hear Ugandans as a group say anything broad or disrespectful about Black Americans as a whole. So again, this is not about color, it's about behavior. This is just me and my perception. And so the thing is, the groups that keep coming up are Haitians, Somalians, and Nigerians. These apparently are the loudmouths. Somebody type loudmouth in the chat room. Because these groups, they're more visible, they're particularly in the conflict. Like I said, I love my Nigerian doctors. If you're a Nigerian doctor, I'm with you 100%. Okay, bottom line, y'all some loud people. The Haitians are loud and the Somalis are loud. Y'all talk a lot of stuff. Okay, now Haitian immigration has grown substantially. There are now about 859,000 Haitian-born immigrants in the United States. That's a large Haitian community, and it's concentrated in Florida, New York, Massachusetts, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Georgia. Now, I want you to notice something. They didn't move to Utah. They didn't move to Montana. They integrated themselves in the Black communities, the pre-existing Black communities in Florida, New York, and Boston, and places like New Jersey, and Pittsburgh, and whatnot, and Philly. Same thing with the Nigerians. That's also grown massively. There are now 532,000 Nigerian-born in the United States. And you can find them in Dallas, Houston, and D.C., a lot of other places. All right, but that's nearly 4 times what it was from 2000. The Somalis, very small number. They only 98,000 Somali-born immigrants. But the Somali descendant population is very large in Minnesota and has become the center of the Somali American political and social visibility. And when we talk about crime and drugs and welfare and public reputation, somebody type public reputation, okay, there's a lot of documented incidents involving these people. When we talk about feeding our future, that scandal out of Minnesota, the National Welfare Program fraud involving federal children nutrition and money, many of the defendants are Somali Americans. That doesn't mean all Somalis are fraudsters. I'm not saying that, but it does mean people notice, okay? And when a community becomes publicly associated with massive tax fraud, people are going to talk about that. Same thing with Nigerians, all right? They got these criminal networks going on, and shout out to RS11 and a documented law enforcement concern international, especially related to fraud, online scam, cybercrime, and other groups, okay? And that doesn't I'm not indicting every Nigerian. Again, I love my Nigerian doctors. I love it. I love you all. Keep going to medical school. But your reputation doesn't come from nowhere, okay? Generally speaking, it comes from repeated public controversies, repeated patterns, and repeated unwillingness to separate decent people from bad actors. And with the Haitians, especially this TPS conversation, the issue is legal status, public anger, displacement, and public reputation. And for many Black Americans, especially those who grew up around Haitians, right, or personally know Haitian families, the first thing they ever heard connected to Haitians, it wasn't doctors, lawyers, and engineers, okay? All them people in Miami, the first thing you heard was Zopound gang in Miami. That's what you heard, the Zo Mafia family. That's what you heard, because they have a significant violent criminal organization in South Florida, and that was the introduction. Many of us saw that Will Smith movie, Bad Boys. Remember that movie, Bad Boys? The little Haitian dude with the gold hair? That's our first introduction. Like, that's what they doing here, right? And so federal, state, and law enforcement have tied the Zopound and all these gangs and Their successor organizations to drug trafficking, cocaine, armed robberies, murders, drive-by firearms, and racketeering, and other organized crime. As recently as May 2025, the U.S. Attorney in Southern District of Florida announced that they convicted 18 members of the gang. So when we think about Haitians, we don't think about music and culture and dance. This is what we think about. You see, when we think about Nigerians, we think about online scamming and stuff. When we think about Somalians, this is what we think about. When I say Uganda, nobody says nothing. We don't even, Mali, where's that? When I say Belize, you like, we don't think about that. And if you don't think these people are making political, well, we can target the Somalis. We can get them Haitians out of here. They got a bad reputation. Same thing with the new job. You don't think we see that? Who do you think occupies those jobs in Washington, D.C.? You understand what I'm saying? Now, again, I'm not saying all these people I'm not talking about all Haitians are gang members or criminals, but it does mean public reputation has consequence. So when the TPS debate comes up, Haitians aren't entering the conversation on a blank slate. TPS means temporary protected status. It's a temporary immigration protection that allows certain foreign nationals to stay and work in the United States when their home country is considered unsafe. But TPS isn't citizenship. It isn't permanent residency. It doesn't make anyone an American. And when some TPS Haitians lash out at Black Americans because their temporary protection is being threatened or ended, they're directing their anger at the wrong people. FBAs didn't create TPS. We didn't grant TPS. We didn't terminate TPS. We didn't destabilize Haiti. We didn't issue Supreme Court decision. We didn't revoke anybody's work permit. So why lash out at us? That's the question. Why lash out at foundational Black Americans? Why? See, this is not a us problem. This is a you problem. You understand what I'm saying? This is what I need you to understand. Again, let me run that back. If Dominicans can be large in all these numbers and stay in their lane, and Trinidadians can do the same, right? Belizeans can do the same, right? Right? They can spend their time here not attacking foundational Black Americans. Same thing with Ugandans, right? I don't hear nothing from the South Africans. I don't even hear nothing. They don't never say nothing to Black Americans. Maybe they did, but I don't hear them say anything. They can be here, okay, not build their public identity around disrespecting us, then what's the excuse for these other people? Again, when you come to America and you benefit from America and you work in America and use American courts and American schools and American hospitals and American labor markets and American taxpayer-funded system, then you turn around and insult foundational Black Americans, you haven't assimilated into America. You've accessed America, and that's the difference. You see, again, foundational Black Americans don't owe silence to immigrant groups that disrespect us. We have a right to say something back. See, here's the problem. They don't want us to say anything back. They want to be able to disrespect us and us to just shut up and take it. That's what they want us to. They want us to do that. We're not obligated to absorb your anger or your frustration associated with being an immigrant. We didn't ask you to come here, okay? Let me get down to it, because some of you all know we're not anybody's inferiority complex, okay? We have nothing to do with your displacement anxiety. We're Americans. This is our home. We're foundational to this country. And when you come here, okay, make it your business not to talk down to us. And if you decide to do that, don't be surprised when we respond. So no, we can't say that you know, we're not saying they're being targeted because they're Black. That's Black folk. It might be racism, but Black Americans are not willing to say it. Maybe it is. But you got too many Black Americans saying, yeah, it's temporary, and temporary means temporary. You understand? And there are plenty of black-oriented immigrant groups in the United States from Africa and the Caribbean that aren't being targeted by Trump's administration or TPS the same way. So this isn't just about color, it's about behavior. Now, I'm going to take the opportunity to address a few things. Number one, and let me know if you all are with me. I hope you all enjoying this. I'm still getting warmed up, okay? But America wasn't built by immigrants. I don't want to deal with that now. And I know there was a lady on the internet. America wasn't built by immigrants. America was built by settlers and enslaved people and free black people and the early American population that created the country before most later immigrant groups have arrived in mass numbers. And let me help y'all out with something. A settler isn't the same thing as an immigrant. An immigrant comes to a country after the country and its institutions are already in existence. A settler comes before the country is fully formed and helps create the political, legal, economic, and territorial structure of the country. The United States as a political nation, as a republic, was created through settlement, conquest, law, war, labor, slavery, and expansion. And enslaved people weren't immigrants either. Now, you did have some people who were indentured servants. You had a lot of white people and Irish and poor white folk who came here as indentured servants. Okay, they did help do work. All right, right. But again, as far as slaves, they didn't apply to come here. They didn't choose America. They were forced here and worked for free. They toiled, they labored, they cleared land, built wealth, produced all sorts of crops like tobacco, rice, sugar, roads, towns, ports, etc. Okay, plantations, economic. That's the economic foundation of this country. You see. And so when people say immigrants built the country, they're already skipping over the people who were actually here. You understand? The people here who doing the work, right? See, what happened was they were doing the work and America became a country that immigrants wanted to enter. And overwhelmingly, overwhelmingly, the majority of black people in early America were enslaved, but a significant number were free. And I'm going to talk to you guys about some uncomfortable things. I don't run from things on this page. We put it all in context. I want y'all to understand something. Many of the black Americans were former slaves, but you also had free black people who existed in this country from the beginning, and that matters. They own land, they own property, they went to court, they served in the military or the militias as they call them. They became ministers, they were writers, they were soldiers, they were spies, they were landowners, they were public officials. And yes, many of the foundational black Americans owned slaves, just like everybody else. And among those early settlers, early Americans, there were people of African descent whose names deserve to be remembered. In 1768, there was a gentleman, his name was Wentworth Cheswell. He was elected town constable in Newmarket, New Hampshire. He was the police. This is 1768. He the popo. He was one of the earliest black public officials in American history. During the Revolutionary War in 1776, Lemuel Haynes, he served in the colonial militia. In 1785, he became the first black minister ordained in a mainstream Protestant domination. He preached to both black people and white people. This is early America. Oh, I didn't know that. I get it. 1804, you know, the Haitians always talk about 1804. In 1804, Middlebury College in Vermont awarded this man an honorary Master's of Arts degree, making him the first known black American to receive a master's degree. So at the time when white folk in Haiti was getting beat up, white folk here in America was giving this black preacher a master's degree. So we were already progressing. Again, not every black person in the United States or the precursor to the United States was a slave. In 1773, Phyllis Wheatley, black woman, published a poem on various subjects, religious and moral, in Boston. In Massachusetts, it became one of the first published Black American poets. And the thing about it, she wrote it herself. You see, normally they would have Black people tell their story and white people write it so they can filter it, make sure they didn't get anything out there they didn't want. But the bottom line is that's what made her so amazing. Now, in 1775, Prince Hall emerged, and he's a leading Black civic leader, and he's an abolitionist in Boston, where he established what became the Prince Hall Freemasonry. All right, shout out to Colbert Hunter. And that was a big deal back then. And we all have heard about Crispus Attucks. March 5th, 1770, he was killed during the Boston Massacre in Boston, Massachusetts, becoming the first person to die in the American Revolution. And when the fighting began, we had Black patriots. Somebody type Black patriots in the chat room. Black American men stood on the battlefield alongside the other patriots. Peter Salem fought at the battles of Lexington and Concord in April 19, 1775. And later he distinguished himself at the Battle of Bunker Hill on June 17, 1775, near Boston. Salem, Poor, Basilia Lew, Pompey Peters, Cuff Whitmore also fought at Bunker Hill on June 17, 1775, with Whitmore likewise serving at Lexington and Concord. And on the night of December 25th, you know that famous picture, they say 25th and 26th, 1776, when George Washington crossed the Delaware River, Prince Whipple was with him. He's pictured in the Delaware River at the turning point in Trenton. That was a turning point in the war. James Armistead Lafayette, he was a double spy in Virginia. He provided intelligence, spy work to General Washington and the French, and they trapped General Cornwallis at the siege of Yorktown. They will tell you in history that it was because of that information that they were able to do that and break the back of the British Empire. But the bottom line is these men and women also, they weren't immigrants. Did you hear 17? That's a long time ago. These are our foundational Black American roots. These are our foundational Black American heroes. This is our lineage. This is our heritage. We don't know what was going on. Haiti wasn't even, we don't know what y'all were doing over there. Okay? But this is what we were doing here before the United States proper was born. All right? Our labor, our courage, our intelligence, our leadership, our sacrifice helped lay the foundation for the United States. I would go so far as to say it was crucial. Now, here's another uncomfortable truth. Remember when I told y'all Black people own property back then? What do you think the property was? Huh? In 1655, Anthony Johnson, a free Black man in Virginia, won a court case involving another Black man named John Castor, okay, from Northampton County, and ordered Castor return to Johnson's service. In other words, he was an indentured service. He tried to run off and say, I'm free now. And they said, nah, you go back and you serve him. And his punishment was to be a servant for life. In other words, a slave for life. And that case opened up the door for one of the earliest legal moments where lifetime Black servitude was recognized by colonial court. In other words, that was one of the many Black men who owned slaves. Now, one thing you need to understand about Anthony Johnson, he had white indentured servants and Black indentured servants. You understand what I'm saying? And this was not uncommon. You had other Black people who had slaves, who were free. It was just a matter of owning property. So here's another one. If you don't believe that, William Ellison in South Carolina. This man was one of the most notorious slave owners in American history. He was a Black man. In fact, he was born enslaved around 1790, and he became free. And then shout out to Black Sand, then turned around and built an empire and of wealth as a cotton gin maker and a planter. And so by 1860, the census said he had 63 enslaved people on his Sumter County, South Carolina reservation. I need y'all to understand something. It was only about 100 families in the South during the height of slavery that owned more than 100 slaves. You see what I'm saying? So let me put that in perspective for you. He owned 63, so he was up there. This was a rich, successful man, and his family controlled even more over time. He wasn't symbolic. He was a real slave-holding planter inside the slave system. See? And see, this touches on my own family history. All right. And so I'm going to share some information with you all. I want to put this up. My great-great-grandfather, George Washington Jones Sr., he was born enslaved in Coffeyville, Mississippi. And his father, his name was Roland Ward Jones. He was a white plantation owner. And his mother was named Liza. One of Roland, Captain Roland's enslaved women. Okay, and he had multiple children by her. Right? Liza, that's going to be my great-great-great-great-great-grandmother. Okay? Now, of their union or connection, George Washington Jones later attended Russ College in Holly Springs, Illinois. And actually, I have a photograph here. I'll let y'all look at these two together. I'm gonna let y'all look at father and son. Somebody type of American family. Look at that. See that? That's my two grandfathers. That's my great-great-great-grandfather, attorney George Washington Jones, and that's his father. Right there. Roland Ward Jones, who was a captain in the Confederate Army. Do you hear me? Now look, that's a lot to say. You mean Uncle D, you mean your great-great-great-granddaddy was? Yes. Yes, that's what I'm trying to tell you. Now, this is an American story. Okay, I'm just pointing it out to you. All right. Now, George Washington, who was born of the union between Captain Roland Ward Jones, he went to Russ College, which is a HBCU in Mississippi, in Holly Springs, Mississippi. He studied law. He became an attorney. And he eventually became the first African-American county attorney in Kansas. And that story alone proves how deeply and interwoven our bloodlines are with America's history. You got a white slave owner, you got a black enslaved woman, you got a mixed race descendant, Reconstruction education, black law practice, and migration out of the Jim Crow South. And if people want to understand why foundational Black American history can't be separated from American history, they don't have to look any further than my own family. My story runs through slavery, white slave ownership, the Confederacy, Reconstruction, HBCU education, Black migration, Kansas politics, Black law practice, federal court, and Black wealth. That's not a side story. That's an American story. Again, this is it. And in fact, if you want to go a little bit further, Captain Roland Ward Jones, who was my great-great-great-great-grandfather, they had a book written about him. You see? In fact, the record says that he fathered several children by enslaved women, so he couldn't get enough. You understand what I'm saying? He clearly couldn't get enough. I see why he wanted to keep them in bondage. Golly. But he had my understanding is that they had 5 children together. You understand? So Roland Ward Jones impregnated my great-great-great-great-grandfather, impregnated my great-great-great-great-grandmother 5 times. So they had 5 full siblings. So when I say my family descends from both sides of slavery, I mean that literally. I descended from an enslaved Black woman and descended from a rich, wealthy white man who owned her. And that's the hard truth for many foundational Black Americans. Our family trees don't divide neatly into Black history and white history because slavery forced those histories together. Our bloodlines carry the brutality and contradiction of violence and survival and complexity of American life. You see, and Roland Ward wasn't just a plantation owner. After his wife Susan died, the white woman, in childbirth in 1863, he went off to fight for the Confederacy. He was injured in Franklin, Tennessee, and while receiving, he met a woman named Elizabeth Clausen, and the nurse connected 2 love letters that later became the basis of a historical written fiction. So yes, you know, through one side of my family, I have blood tied to a Confederate soldier, a rich white man from, and I believe he was from Scotland or England, rich white landowner. And then on the other side, I'm descended from black people that the same slave system held in bondage. And that's how deep the history goes. Interestingly enough, all of Roland Ward's children, it's my understanding that his white children from his wife died. And so the children that he had, last I heard, were all mixed race or black. Isn't that something? So his progeny all became, you know, all came from the woman. Now, here's another interesting thing. And since we're talking about George Washington Jones rose out of that system. Okay, so after emancipation, as I said, he went to Rusk College. He studied law under a man named Josiah T. Settle, another black attorney. You understand what I'm saying? We talking about 1865. We talking about 1880. This is fresh out of slavery. This is what we're doing. And the thing is, he was admitted to practice law, and he moved to Grenada, Mississippi, and built a successful legal career. And in 1884, he was chosen as a presidential elector, which was a rare honor for a black man in Mississippi during the era. And then came the racial terror. So what happened was, now mind you, this is 1884, so you know, white folks, they want the South back, right? We got to put these black, they're out here being doctors and lawyers and owning land. Bottom line is, after George Washington, after granddad, I'm gonna call him Granddaddy Jones, he represented a black man, a client against a white man, and he won. I want you to understand that. This black man in 1884 took a case in a white court, somebody type all white jury, and he convinced the judge and the jury that his black client was right. Now, the Klan didn't want no part of that. They're like, we got to get him out of here. And so they warned him. They told him to leave Grenada and never return, and he better get out of there in 5 days. But instead of hiding, my great granddaddy, he said that he sent that threat to the local newspaper, and he publicly defended his citizenship, okay, his professional conduct, his taxes, his right to live where he lived. Now, it's very important. You hear what I said, citizenship, because he knew he was always an American. He was born in slavery, and he was still an American. He just wasn't a citizen. So what I'm trying to do, and I actually have the article that he wrote. I wish I had it ready for you all to see it. But he took a newspaper article out, and he said, you know, I paid my taxes. In other words, I'm a citizen, and I've done everything a citizen has to do. I'm going to stay here. You see what I'm saying? And see, that matters, because even back then, they understood the difference between being an American and being a citizen. All right. And this is why this was a black lawyer born enslaved, standing on his American citizenship and the rule of law in Mississippi in 1888 or 1884 at the height of the white resurgency. You understand what I'm saying? But that's America. That's America. And that's our history. Now, eventually, my great-grandfather, you know, he moved to Kansas. He visited Nicodemus, Kansas, where he found black people who owned farms and business. And he was so impressed by the opportunities and the respectful interactions between black and white residents that he moved his whole family there. Graham County, Kansas. He built a commercial law practice. He represented powerful businesses, white and black. He practiced law in state and federal court, and eventually he served 2 terms as Graham County attorney from 1896 to 1990, 1900. This is what we were doing back there. Did y'all hear it? And he wasn't the only one. I want you all to understand that when let me take this off the screen so I can get back in close with y'all. I don't want y'all to think I forgot you all with it. But you understand, this is our amazing history. This is what we were doing as black people. This is us. You see? So no immigrant can come to this country and tell me what I can and can't do in my country and what power I do and don't have. And like I said, family, he wasn't the only one. He was not the only one. There's another part of the story. Now, George Washington Jones, my great-great-grandfather, he had children. And one of them in particular I want to tell you about, her name was Pearlie, okay? Pearlie Jones. This is George Washington Jones' daughter. She married a man named Charles A. Groves in 1906. Charles was the son of Junius Groves. Now, he was one of the wealthiest black men in the United States of America. He's also known as the Potato King. You understand that? I want you to put this together. So you got this powerful, black, influential lawyer who's really good at what he does. His daughter then marries one of the richest black men, or the son of one of the richest black men in America. That's my auntie, Pearlie Jones. You understand? Now, Junius Jones, Groves, the Potato King, he was born enslaved in Kentucky. He came to Kansas with the Exodus, or what they call the Exodusters, in 1879, and he started as a sharecropper. But he built wealth through farmland. He owned about 500 acres, and by 1905, he became known as the as the greatest potato producer in the world. This is, just look it up. Y'all Google Potato King. Okay, this is what we were doing back then. This is us. Somebody type, "This is us." Okay, but what you understand is that marriage connected my family not only to slavery and to law, but also to black land ownership, black entrepreneurship, and black wealth in the West. And that's the full picture in one family line. You see a rich white Confederate planter, and an enslaved black woman, a child born into slavery, an HBCU education, a powerful, wealthy black lawyer, a county attorney, a federal court practitioner, a black political leadership, and a marriage connection to one of the richest black agricultural entrepreneurs in America. That's not an immigrant history, you all. That's not recent. That's not recent history. That's not bald history. That's foundational Black American history. And see, my family proves the larger point. We were not standing outside of America watching it happen. We were inside the story from the beginning. We were enslaved by it, but we also built it. We were excluded from the power, but we still entered the courthouse. We were threatened, but we still practiced law. We were pushed out of towns, but we still built new ones. We were denied equality, but we created schools, farms, churches, businesses, political offices, and legal careers anyway. And the bottom line is this: foundational Black Americans aren't merely descendants of slaves. We're descendants of almost every major force that shaped this country. We descended from the enslaved and, in some cases, from the enslavers. We descended from people tied to the Confederacy and people who survived the Confederacy. We're descended from laborers, lawyers, farmers, teachers, ministers, politicians, soldiers, landowners, and business builders. Our names are in the slave records, the court records, the land records, the military records, the college records. The newspapers, the political records. You understand what I'm saying? So you can't tell the story of America without telling the story of foundational Black Americans. Our blood is in the soil. Our labor is in the infrastructure. Our pain is in the slave ledgers. But our victories are in the law books. Our writings are in the libraries. Our ancestors are in the cemeteries. Our legacy is in towns like Nicodemus, Kansas, schools like Russ College, Howard University, Grambling State University, Southern University, Texas Southern University, Prairie View A&M, FAMU. Our wins in the courtrooms. You understand? So our history is not separate from American history. Our history is American history. Do you all understand the point? Because see, I need to explain something. I want to talk to the white people. Come on in here, white people. Come on in here and get some of this. See, you're not more American than me. And I'm glad that Australian gentleman explained that. Let me break something down to you. See, the first wave of immigration from European countries overseas came through Ellis Island and the Irish potato famine. And then the island, the Italian immigration came and Eastern European immigration came. That was around the 1800s into the early 1900s. Shout out to William Lynch. And the peak was around 1892, between 1892 and 1924. By that time, America was already a country. You understand what I'm saying? My granddaddy was already a lawyer. The Potato King was already rich. You all had just got here. You see, that not only was it already a country, but it already had expanded and fought wars and built institutions and created cities and developed industries and formed a national identity. Ireland was dealing with an Irish potato famine, and apparently my great step uncle, I guess you'd call him, was already the Potato King. But bottom line is, in 1845, large numbers of Irish people began to come to the United States. But by then, America had already fought the Revolutionary War and created the Constitution and fought the War of 1812 and made the Louisiana Purchase and expanded west and established itself as a continental power. And then came the Italians. And the Eastern Europeans, and they came in even larger numbers in 1800s, in the early 1900s. And by that time, many of them, by the time they got here, we fought the Civil War already. Slavery had already been abolished. Reconstruction had already happened. The West had already been pushed open, and the railroads were already transforming the country. And the South had already been settled. The Northeast had already been industrialized. The Midwest has already been developed, and the economy had already been moving. So how did immigrants build America if the country they came to was already built enough for them to want to come here? Answer that question. How did that happen? If America had already fought the Revolutionary War, created the country, already fought the War of 1812 to push the British back, we proved that the new country could survive another conflict from Britain with that. We already made the Louisiana Purchase in 1803. It doubled the size of the United States. We'd already fought Mexico and the Mexican-American War, which opened up the Southwest and added California, Nevada, Utah, New Mexico, and most Arizona and Colorado and all the other Western lands. The wars had already been fought. The war fighting had been done, which was necessary to settle the land settle this land. You understand? Blood had already been spilled. And hell, after the Civil War, the Buffalo Soldiers, black men, helped secure the West. The Buffalo Soldiers, all black regiments created after the Civil War, patrolled the frontier. They guarded settlers and mail routes and protected infrastructure and served in the Western fronts and helped build and defend the roads and the rail lines and the telegraph lines and that made going westward the expansion possible. So they secured civilization. And many of those men, again, they were formerly enslaved black Civil War veterans. So even when people talk about taming the West, the foundational black Americans were part of that too. Did you all know that about a third of the so-called cowboys were black people, black men? So let me run this back, okay? Before Ellis Island became the symbol of immigration, okay? Before that, and I'm gonna put the Cash App up. You all asked me to put the Cash App, but let me keep cooking. Beforthat, black people already had towns and institutions and professionals and communities. We had lawyers like I said, my great-grandfather, George Washington Jones. We had Hosea T. Settles, who he learned from. We also had people like Macon Bowling Allen in the 1840s and John S. Rock, who became the first black lawyer admitted to practice before the U.S. Supreme Court in 1865. 1865, fresh out of slavery. We had black doctors and medical educators like Alexander Augusta, who became one of Howard University's first medical professors and first Black professor of medicine in the country. This is our heritage. Somebody type FBA in the chat room. We have Meharry College, which was founded in 1876. Damn near 200-year-old medical school here in the United States. Southern University was founded in 1880. That's my alma mater. 1880. We're only about 55 years away from it being 200 years old. We're part of this history. Some of our universities are older than some of these countries. Nigeria popped up in 1950. Our universities are older than Nigeria. That's what I want you to understand. We have Black towns like Nicodemus, Kansas, founded in 1877. Mound Bayou, Mississippi, founded in 1877. Founded by formerly enslaved Black people. So don't tell me immigrants built America when Black Americans had already built the communities and schools and businesses and churches and towns and medical institutions and political organizations and legal traditions before many of these legal immigrant groups even got here. And that's just Black America, because that's just what we built. America was already built up. Again, America in general was already developed. Harvard had been founded in 1636. MIT was chartered in 1861. Major cities already existed. Roads, railroads, ports, shipping, routes, farms, factories, banks, courts, newspapers, universities, churches, hospitals, military institutions, and political parties that already existed. Before anybody even came from through Ellis Island, all that was here. America had already produced major inventions. It had already produced industrial systems. Black inventors and scientists were part of that too. Lewis Lattimore improved the carbon filament for electric lighting. Garrett Morgan developed the gas mask and the traffic signal and technology. Charles Drew, shout out to Big J, helped revolutionize blood storage and blood banking. These were people showing up after the country was built. They were Americans building the country from within. They were all Americans. Somebody type America first in the chat room. So again, when these people start telling you that this country was built by immigrants, you explain to them that is a lie. By the time the Ellis Island people started arriving, America wasn't some empty project waiting for immigrants to come create it. America was already powerful enough, wealthy enough, organized enough, and attractive enough that millions of people wanted to come here. That's the point. Immigrants didn't create America's foundation. They entered a country whose foundation had already been laid by settlers, enslaved people, free Black people, free white people, war fighters, farmers, craftsmen, laborers, inventors, and citizens who were already here. Now, I know this is boring, but you got to learn this, because I don't ever want y'all to let one of these immigrants come over here and tell you that they built America after all the sacrifices that our Black American ancestors and white American ancestors put forth. Don't you let them disrespect us like that. Somebody type America first in the chat room. Everybody type America first in the chat room. Heritage Americans, foundational Black Americans. This is our country. Now, I want to talk a little bit about something, and I know it's boring, but you're going to learn. You have to learn. I want to talk about 1965 because that's part of the people love to ignore. Before 1965, America's immigration system was openly restrictive and racialized. Asians were restricted. In many cases, almost excluded. They literally had something called the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882, and it literally barred Chinese laborers and became the first major federal law restricting them. So in 1882, when my grandfather was practicing law, fresh out of slavery, Chinese weren't allowed to come here like that. In 1924, Immigration law created the national origin quota that favored Northern and Western European. They didn't want Italians. Okay, they didn't want you here. They didn't want people from Arab lands. They didn't want none of y'all. Okay, they excluded immigrants from Asia, India, couldn't come. Africa especially, Caribbean too. So shout out to Bebe. So before 1965, I want y'all to listen to this very carefully. Before 1965, America wasn't this open, multicultural immigration hub that people pretend it was. It was black and white. America was a black and white country. And in 1960, white Americans were nearly 89% of the population. That's what it was. Now, you can say what you want, but do we have the crime problem that we have now? Do we have the issues that we have now with the culture? Do we have the degeneracy? You see? It was 89% white, and the rest was mostly the remaining non-white population was black. Now, you had a teeny percentage of Africans, okay? They were only about 35,000 of them here in the whole country. Okay, and in the United States, Mexican-born immigration was also smaller. In 1960, they had about 576,000 Mexicans in this country. I want you to keep that in mind. Think about that. That's a tiny percentage. Matter of fact, they had something called Operation Wetback, which was an example of how they would systematically and periodically remove Mexicans from the country. During the 1930s, Mexicans they call it repatriation. Hundreds of thousands of Mexicans and Mexican Americans, which means they were citizens born in the United States. They pushed them back across the country. So they were Americans. They were citizens, but they weren't considered Americans. You see that? You understand that? Isn't that amazing when you really start understanding the philosophy? Shout out to Madman 9. The Mexican citizens born here as Mexican Americans, yeah, you might be a citizen, but you're not an American. You got to go back to Mexico. Damn. Black Americans, on the other hand, are Americans. And we were Americans before we were citizens. But bottom line is, in the 1950s, Operation Wetback had targeted Mexican workers again under Eisenhower administration. So when people act like immigration enforcement is new, it's not. America has periodically opened and closed the door depending on who it is that they want to send home. And so they've periodically, about every 70 years, they push Mexicans back to Mexico. This is, look, I know we got some Mexican folk, Latino, I know you listen, this is your history. And so that's why when we hear stuff like LULAC and the fact that you all, your leaders wanted to fight to be white, they will never accept you. And any white person that's being honest will tell you that. It's best just to go ahead and be on your own. But here's the thing. The Hart-Celler Act came in the wake of all that. And this is an act that came about in 1965. It was signed into law by Lyndon B. Johnson, the 36th president of the United States. And it came in the wake of the 1964 Voting Rights Act. Or should I say the Civil Rights Acts of 64 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. And it ended, the Hart-Celler Act, it ended the old national origin quota that I talked about. And that opened the door for immigration from Asia, Africa, Latin America, and the Caribbean. None of these people were here like that. Okay? When we look at those old pictures of those black people out there protesting and fighting for their rights in the 1950s, the reason you don't see Latinos and all these other folks, because they weren't here. And that's what you need to understand. Okay? So because when black and brown and Asian immigrants say we built America, they need to understand something. That at that time, when America was built and we were doing all that war fighting, right? You weren't here. Not in any significant numbers. It was foundational black Americans who had already fought and marched and sued and bled and died and organized and forced America to confront its racial laws. So by 1969, America was already built. Who would disagree with that? By 1965, we had already fought the Revolutionary War. The War of 1812, the Civil War, the Mexican-American War, the Spanish War, World War I, World War II, the Korean War. We'd already become a global superpower. We had already developed massive cities, highways, railroads, ports, suburbs, airports, factories, universities, hospitals, banks. We had a thriving music and film industry, military bases, and international influence. What did you build? Shout out to Chang G. So by 1965, America had already had automobiles and airplanes and air conditioning, radio, recorded music, interstate highways, skyscrapers. We're already deep in the space race. NASA's Gemini program had already flying missions to try to prepare for Apollo, the Apollo moon landing. We're already on the way to space. By 1965, when we just started letting you all in, Black American culture had already gone around the world. Jazz had gone around the world. Blues had gone around the world. Gospel, soul, R&B, rock and roll had gone around the world. We had B.B. King, Otis Redding, Motown. We had Black athletes, Black entertainers, Black soldiers, Black scholars, preachers, organizers, doctors, lawyers, and inventors. By the time 1965 came around, we already had Frank Sinatra as an American. He was already famous. Hollywood was already famous. American music was already famous. American universities were already famous. So what part of that did you immigrants build? Because see, that was before the modern post-1965 immigration wave. So what was that little Haitian lady talking about? Again, when people say immigrants built America, my question is simple. What exactly was left for you all to build? Joining an already built country isn't the same as building the country from the ground up. Moving into a house, okay, isn't the same as laying the foundation, cutting the wood, pouring the concrete, wiring the wall, and paying for the original cost. That's the distinction. So immigrants didn't build America in the way they like to claim. America was built by settlers and slaves, some Black, some white. It was built by free Black people and enslaved Black people. It was built by foundational Black Americans and heritage white Americans. It was built by people who were here when the country was being formed, expanded, defended, industrialized, and transformed. Immigrants came here later. They benefited from all that hard work. Somebody type work harder. So the next time one of these immigrants say, we built America, ask them, which America are you talking about? Must be talking about South America, Central America. Because by the time the modern immigrants start coming to what is called North America, i.e. the United States, in 1965, America had already been America for a long time. You understand? Now, why do they see that? And I know this is long-winded, but I'm moving fast. We're not even 3 hours in. Why do they see that? Somebody type the immigrant gaze in the chat room. Somebody type the immigrant gaze in the chat room. See, the truth is many immigrants see themselves through the immigrant gaze. They identify as immigrant, as Haitian immigrants, Jamaican immigrants, Nigerian immigrants, Somali immigrants, Syrian, Mexican, or whatever their national background is, before they identify through the American racial category that they should be designated for, okay? So as far as the Haitians and the Jamaicans and the Nigerians and the Somalians even, they see themselves as immigrants before they see themselves in the category they should fall in of Blackness, okay? And this requires, I'm gonna explain it to you, okay? You're gonna learn something. Somebody type learn something in the chat room. If you're a person from Haiti, Jamaica, or Nigeria, you grew up in the country where Black people are the overwhelming national majority. Haiti is 95% Black. Jamaica is overwhelmingly Black. Nigeria is an African country with more than 250 ethnic groups, but it isn't a country where Black people function as a tiny racial minority inside a white majority state. So when you grow up in those countries, race doesn't operate the same way it operates in the United States. In those countries, the people in power usually look like you. The police and the politicians and the judges and the teachers look like you. The people who don't look like you are usually outsiders and visitors or the minority. So you grow up as part of the in crowd. But in the United States, foundational Black Americans are and always have been a tiny minority. Black people are only about 14% of the US population. And here's what you need to understand. Only about 3/4 of that, or about 9 or 10%, are foundational Black Americans, because the rest are immigrants and children of immigrants, which make up about 25% of what we know now as the Black American population. And that's why it's important for us to delineate. See, and what that means is we are too small in number to have the luxury of organizing primarily by tribe, village, or island, language, or religion. Whether you're a Muslim or in the Nation of Islam or Southern Baptist from Pascagoula, Mississippi, you are still a foundational Black American. We understand that politically and socially, we have to unify around our Blackness, because that's how we maintain power. Somebody type power. That's how we maintain visibility. That's how we have a collective voice, which we use in this country when we're outnumbered. Okay? Now, I want you to keep in mind something. Those for you all who are good at math, you see what I said. Even right now, we're about 9% of the population, right? Before 1965, we're about 9 or 10% of the population. We have more Black people in this country, but that group of Black people are first generation, second generation immigrant. So our percentage in this country has maintained the same. Have y'all realized that? Come on, smart people, y'all got to catch up. I know you just learned something. So what you mean? Yeah, when we say Black people are 13, 14% of the population, you got to remove the 25% who are African and Caribbean and who have children who are African and Caribbean. You got to remove that. Different culture, different people, different history. The truth is the foundational Black American population has not changed. It has not changed. It is still the same. It has always been. That's 9 or 10%. We are the divine 9. You understand that? We are 10 for the win. Think about that. The rest of these people are new people. They don't have our culture. But it's enough of them now that we notice. But that's a whole nother subject. Bottom line is, Blackness functions differently for us, for foundational Black Americans. Blackness isn't just color. It's political history, it's lineage, it's survival. It's the way we've had to understand ourselves in order to survive as a people. Immigrants, on the other hand, often come in and don't unify with foundational Black Americans around our Black ethnicity or our political history or our racial position in this country. Instead, many of them unify around immigrant status. They'll see themselves as having more in common with another immigrant from Mexico or Syria or Colombia or India or the Caribbean. Think about it. You see, as opposed to foundational Black America, whose family has been here for generations. And the research shows that divide is real. Most Black Americans say being Black is central to who we are and how we understand ourselves. Most immigrants are much less likely to say that. You see? They'll say they have a lot less in common with US-born Black people than US-born Black people are with each other. And that tells you something. It tells you that many Black immigrants are looking at us through the immigrant lens, the immigrant gaze, not through the lens of shared Black American political experience. They see themselves as outsiders. They see us as Americans, not as Black, but as Americans. You understand? Is it all starting to paint a picture now? See, let me explain something. That's the fallacy in their logic. They thought they had the luxury of talking bad about foundational Black Americans because in their minds, they weren't like us or we weren't like them. We're Americans. And that goes to my greater point. When they talk bad about Black Americans, they're really just using us as a proxy to talk bad about Americans because they see themselves as immigrants. They're immigrants first. They're different. They're special. They were the good Blacks. If they're going to be called blacks, they want to be the good blacks. Accents, funny last names with a lot of vowels that we can't spell or pronounce. Good blacks. They thought their national origin, their accent, their foreignness, their immigrant story, or their proximity to other immigrant groups would separate them from the stigma attached to Black Americans. But that blew up in their face. Because the truth is, America, or in America, the only real cover they've had was their blackness, and that political cover didn't come from Haiti. The Jamaican government and the Nigerian government didn't make a call. It came from the power exuded by foundational Black Americans based on that civil rights framework built by foundational Black Americans. And the reason they can claim discrimination when they're mistreated is because of foundational Black Americans and how we fought to make anti-Black discrimination legally recognizable. You see? That's the reason that they can enter into these universities and get these jobs in court and participate in court and occupy media spaces and political spaces under the protection of the diversity and the anti-discrimination law, because we fought for it. We marched for it. We sued for it. We bled. We died to make those protections possible. So the irony is this. They come here trying to separate themselves from Black folks, but when America treats them as they are Black, the only protection available to them is the protection of Black Americans that we fought for. And see, the immigrant gaze causes them to look at foundational Black Americans from the outside, even while living inside of our racial reality. They don't know. Somebody type, they don't know. Matter of fact, somebody type, bless your heart, bless their heart. Somebody type, you know what I mean. All my Southerners and people with Southern folk and family, somebody type, bless your heart. Okay, bless your sweetheart. They want the benefit of Blackness when it protects them, but then they want the burden of they don't want to be burdened of respecting people who made the protection possible. They don't want to bow down. Oh no, we're better than you, but you want our protection. That's going to be a problem. We ain't asked you to kiss our butt, because see, here's the thing now. See. When you come to America and you don't get to define Blackness only when it benefits you. You don't get to reject foundational Black American social insults, or should I say, reject foundational Black Americans socially and disrespect us culturally and distance yourself from us politically, and then rely on the civil rights structure we built when America reminds you that you Black too. Shout out to Bebe. That's not solidarity. That's opportunism. You see what I'm saying? And that's what happened. That's what they're dealing with right now. They literally, if played yourself was a word, right? If we played ourselves was a word, it would have a Haitian flag sticking out of it right now. That's what I'm trying to explain to y'all. Okay? Let me say it like this, man. And I don't want to hold y'all here all day. I want to kind of roll through some of this, but I think it's important because I hope you all learn something here, and I'm gonna try to wrap this up. But I want to kind of let me explain. Let me give y'all a quick lesson that many Black Americans realize, now. Okay, we have more in common with white Americans. I'm talking about the white Americans that been here than we do with a lot of these immigrants who happen to be Black and come to this country and looking at us like we crazy, like we don't know what we talking about. Okay, we still deal with racism. We always will. Okay, racism is like America. Racism is like the weather. Shout out to Jackie. Thank you, baby. It's like the weather in America. It doesn't go anywhere. It's not going anywhere. It's been here. Did you just hear that my great-great-great-granddaddy was a white man and a Confederate in the military, and he still knocked up my great-great-great-grandmother, who was his slave 5 times? He was still racist. You see, he was racist and making little Black babies. You understand what I'm saying? One of them became a lawyer. I just want you to understand, okay? It's not going anywhere. You're not going to ever change anybody's strongly held beliefs, okay? It changes form, it changes temperature, it changes intensity, but it's always part of the environment. Foundational Black Americans have had to deal with that reality for about, close to 500 years, more or less. And because of that, we've mastered something a lot of these immigrants don't understand. Institutionalized racism can't be defeated by feelings. Somebody type feelings in the chat room. It has to be answered with institution, and that's what Black Americans have always done. When we're excluded from white schools, we build Black schools. When we're excluded from white colleges, we built HBCUs like Russ College, where my great-grandfather went to school, like the Southern University Law Center, where I went to school. When we shut out of white churches, we build Black churches. And when we're denied fair legal protection, we build civil rights organizations. We couldn't rely on white newspapers to tell our story. We built Black newspapers, and we were locked out of financial systems. We built mutual aid societies where we agreed to help each other. We had our own insurance companies and banks and funeral homes and business fraternities and sororities and professional networks and political organizations. That's how we survived. That was the most American thing you can do. You fight back. But bottom line is, that's how we survive institutional racism. You don't cry about it online. You organize, you build, you defend, you fight back. Now, as far as somebody calling you out your name or disrespecting you with some racial epithet, that's something you got to deal with. And I'm not saying it's right, not at all. I'm saying foundational Black Americans understand the difference between personal racism and institutional racism. Somebody calling you out your name is one thing. A system locking you out of housing, education, employment, medicine, banking, voting, public safety, or political power, that's something else. That's where the institutions matter. You see? Now, generally speaking, most Americans have a certain level of respect for each other because we understand the most important thing that we are as Americans. You understand? We argue, we fight, and we disagree. We have lots of racial conflict, don't we? We got plenty of it. We love playing the racial ball game. But at the end of the day, heritage white Americans understand that America belongs to the people who stayed, who fought, who built, who buried our dead here, paid into the country, and defended it across generations. We don't really have, as Americans, we generally don't have respect for people who flee their country. That's across the board. Americans generally don't have respect for people who leave their country because things are too tough and they come here. We will haze them for a long time. Did you hear what happened to the Irish? Did you hear what happened to the Italians? The Irish got treated poorly. The Mexicans still are getting treated poorly. You understand? The only people who didn't flee their country in this United States is foundational Black Americans. You see the difference? That's why we were Americans before we were citizens. I hope somebody gets this. I hope this is not going over you all's head. All right? But again, the difference between, let me say it like the difference between foundational Black Americans and immigrants, we haven't fled our country. We stayed and we fought. We fought through some of the most horrific time periods in life that any group of people could deal with. We wasn't free, but we were working for free. We built everybody else's stuff, right? Then we had to go, then we got free, and then they put a bunch of laws in place to keep us like slaves. They would literally pick Black folk up, put them in jail for hanging around too long, or not having enough money in their pocket. And then when we got enough money to be successful and enjoy America, they said, we're going to segregate you all and put you all over here in the worst part of town. Matter of fact, even if you have some successful people amongst you, we're going to practice economic attack, and we're going to lynch the intelligent ones. That's what my granddaddy had to leave Mississippi. This Black man is beating white folk in the court. We're going to lynch you. You better get out of here. He said he wouldn't go, but he eventually moved to Nicodemus. He was a smart man. But that was the economic, that's what the lynching was about. It wasn't just picking up some random person. They would lynch business competitors. They would lynch the best of the best. They would lynch the lawyers and whoever else. Voter suppression. Now we finally got the right to vote, and we're going to have some white guys stand out here with some shotguns. We fought back. Shout out to Big J. See? And then we finally got a chance. We got the money. We got a right to vote. They said, no, we're going to put some housing discrimination. You can't live over here. So we back to square one. We might as well be segregated. Well, we got the education. We got the schools. Oh, we're going to put some employment discrimination. We're going to lock you out of the higher jobs. And then if all that fails, we're going to authorize the police to beat you up every now and then to keep you in your place. Like they did the Irish, the paddy wagons. You understand? Think about that. And now we still got to deal with stuff like medical neglect. That's why I like my Nigerian doctors. I love to have some more Nigerian doctors. We can end black medical neglect if you get some more Nigerian doctors. It's not all immigrants. Okay? It was not all of them. We would love to have about 10,000 more black Nigerian doctors who are like the ones I've met so far. Not anybody, but more black babies would be born healthy if we had some of these black Nigerian doctors. And since that's not something necessarily that black folk are doing, if they want to do it, let them do it. But bottom line is the entire structure of institutionalized racism, right? We dealt with that and we still built churches. We still built schools and neighborhoods and created whole genres of music and politics and culture and law and civil rights protections. And the whole world now benefits from what we did because the world benefits from America and we helped build America. That is something to be proud of. And that's why a lot of black immigrants, you don't recognize, you seem to forget. And see, that's that immigrant gaze. It blinds you. You see, got you following that immigrant direction that led many of these black immigrants astray. They came here, identified as immigrants first, thinking they were safe, instead of understanding the black American political reality that they walked into. They saw themselves as immigrants first. They aligned themselves with other immigrants before they aligned themselves with foundational black Americans, and now you see them failing. They've now alienated themselves from the only real ally they would have in the United States, and that's FBA. Somebody type FBA in the chat room. Because when America sees them as black, it's black American, a black America that gives them that protection. You see? And see, once we withdraw that protection, you don't have the historical language. You don't have the legal history. You just an immigrant. Not only are you an immigrant, you a black immigrant. So now you got these Haitians lashing out at Foundational Black America. They're saying we're mad, we're removing our cover. Yes. Everybody knows the difference, don't they? The United States government knows the difference between an FBA and a non-FBA black person. White America knows the difference between black Americans and they know the difference. Black Americans know the difference. And now immigrants know the difference. The census knows the difference. Academia knows the difference. The courts know the difference. The media knows the difference. So the idea that all black people in America are just one interchangeable group has been exposed as false. And foundational black Americans aren't just black people in America. We're a specific people with a specific history, a specific lineage, and a specific political position in this country. And that's why people know the difference between FBA and non-FBA people. And on top of that, many of you folk have been disrespectful to foundational black America. You've been speaking ill of the very people who've made your presence accepted. You see? Matter of fact, I would say our presence and us accepting you is what protected you from the mistreatment you're now receiving. And whether you understand it or not, when you attack foundational black Americans, you're attacking foundational American people. That's white and black, which means at some level you don't like America anyway. And we all know it. And understand this clearly. Shout out to Mr. Mickle. Thank you so much. We're not helping. We're not helping you because you haven't demonstrated racial loyalty. And really, you need to recognize that. Somebody type loyalty in the chat room. You're not receiving our help because you have not demonstrated racial loyalty. And really, it's deeper than that. You haven't demonstrated political loyalty, cultural respect, basic reciprocity. You didn't come here and go about your business. You came here, you benefited from Black America's success and infrastructure and institutions and Black political cover, which is cool because everybody does that. And we can kind of, all right, it is what it is. But see, the cold part about it, then you turn right back around and spoke ill about Black American people. And that matters to us. Because when non-FBA Black people say something disrespectful or racist or misogynist or bigoted about foundational Black American men and women and children, right? When you do that, people who are already racially biased will take a look at that statement and say, damn, okay, we can use that against them. They'll say, see, even other Black people don't like Black Americans. Even Africans say this about Black Americans. Even Caribbeans say this about Black Americans. Even Haitians say this about them. Even Nigerians say this about them. And so you make our life harder. And see, that's why that term tether popped up. You tethered yourself to the Black American experience. You use the resources and language and protections and institutions and opportunities you created by foundational Black Americans. You believe, you benefited from our hard work. You benefited from our moral authority of our oppression. You benefited from the legal category that our ancestors forced this country to recognize. And then after latching onto all of that, you had the unmitigated gall, the nerve, okay? The nerve to denigrate and disrespect us. That is tethering. You see, not all Black immigrants are tethers. No, not all. Okay, we don't want to disrespect all the Black immigrants. We got much love for Black. I'm always with the melanin. Somebody type melanin in the chat room. This is not for all Black immigrants. And I don't ever want you to think this is for all Black. We're talking about the tethers, the ones who open their big fat mouths and say bad things about Black Americans after they use our stuff. So now, what you see is foundational Black Americans, what you see us doing is calling out the tethering. We're cutting the tether. Somebody type cut the tether in the chat. Somebody type cut the tether. And once the tether is cut, you're left to float on your own. Okay, now you have to deal with the storm of racism by yourself. You have to deal with the same systems and institutions that were designed to mistreat Black people in America that we had to fight against, but without the historical infrastructure that foundational Black Americans built to survive. You don't have the HBCU. Where the Haitian colleges and universities? Where the Nigerian colleges and universities? You don't have what we have. You don't have generations of Black churches rooted in your family. I can go to Nicodemus, Kansas right now and walk in a boardroom for the Nicodemus, Kansas Black Historical Foundation. And they will say, that's great, that's George Washington Jones' great grandson right there, Attorney Dennis Spurling. That's what they'll say. They'll say, well, this is where your granddaddy's law library used to be. This is the land that your Auntie Pearlie lived when she moved away. I'm just saying, this is what they're gonna say. This is our history. I can go down the road, I can go down Mississippi. I can drive over to Mississippi and I can look at the plantation where my great-great-grandfather, my grandmother's father, Reverend King was a pastor at. I can go over there right now. You understand what I'm saying? From 100, 200 years ago. To you immigrants, you don't have that. You don't have those traditional historical Black American communities that go back 5, 6, 7 generations. You don't have the same family networks. You don't have the civil rights organizations. You don't have the same fraternities and sororities. Shout out to the Alphas, Alpha Phi Alpha, Kappa Alpha Psi, Omega Psi Vi, Phi Beta Sigma. Shout out to what's the name of the little brown fraternity? What they call them? The little brown with the UPS. Shout out to the UPS fraternity. What do they call? I can't believe that. I'm so sorry. I don't mean to dish. What they IOTAs. Shout out to IOTAs, man. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to the AKAs and the Deltas. Shout out to the Zeta Phi Beta and the Sigma Gamma Rho. Shout out to y'all. Those are networkings. Those are professional network organizations. Your son need a job working at a law firm, and you got a fraternity brother who knows the Q-Dog, who went to school with a Kappa, who runs Johnny Cochran's law firm. That's how you do it. They wouldn't let us do that before, so we had to create our own old boy, old girl networks. This ain't about fun and games. You think it's about jumping and marching and whatnot. Shout out to the Jack and Jill organization. Shout out to the Links. You understand what I'm saying? You always talk about Boulay. Boulay is an organization that I think is 100-some years old, where Black men of substance and money and wealth got together and they said, you know what? I want my daughter to marry your son, or vice versa. And what we're going to do is we're going to set this up for them so that our grandchildren together, that's what that was about. You think you're going to meet a good man for your daughter in the grocery store? Is that what you think? That's not how that works. All of those organizations, that's how we got by. That's the infrastructure. That is the institutions that we use to survive and thrive. Again, you don't have the same family networks. These immigrants, you don't have that organization. You don't have what we have. You don't have the political machines. I don't care how many Kamala Harrises and Barack Obamas you put up there. They will never be us. Y'all don't have the same neighborhood member. You don't have the same institutional inheritance. That's why your experience is going to be different, because the institutions matter. Foundational Black Americans have HBCUs, Black churches, civil rights organizations, Black Greek letter organizations, Black professional networks, Black neighborhoods, Black family histories, Black political traditions, and generations of accumulated social knowledge. We know how this country works. You understand? It's passed down. You don't think I'm passing down to my sons how this country works? You don't think I'm paving the way so that my grandchildren, he can help pave, all three, they can help pave the way? This is how we survived for centuries. That's what they don't understand. See, they thought being Black alone was enough, but Blackness without institution doesn't protect you. Blackness without history doesn't protect you. Blackness without political discipline doesn't protect you. Blackness without reciprocity doesn't protect you. So when foundational Black Americans collectively decide to remove our institutional acceptance, our political machine, our educational machines, our churches, our neighborhoods, and our social protection, there's not much left you all can stand on. And that's not us being cruel. It's just, it's because that's the choice you made. You immigrants chose to distance yourself from us. You chose to speak against us. You chose to treat us like the bottom group in America. You chose to tether yourself to our struggle when it benefited you and untether yourself from us when it came time to show respect. So now we're making the separation clear. See? You don't get to use FBA America as your shield while using your mouth as a weapon against FBA. You don't get to benefit from our institutions while disrespecting the people who built them. You don't get to hide under our civil rights umbrella while helping other people attack us. You don't get to claim Blackness when it protects you and reject Black Americanness when accountability shows up. That's over. And that's why the tether is being cut. And once it's cut, you're going to have to find out what America looks like without Black American cover that you took for granted. Now, I want to take the opportunity to read these super chats. I know I've been long-winded, but look, we are still only at about 3 hours. Okay, and I want to read all these super chats, and I want to thank all the beautiful people who contribute. I hope y'all appreciate the work that I've done. I've tried to put this thing in context for you all so we get a better understanding of what's really going on. Okay, and why these folk are yelling at us and screaming. We didn't do anything to the black people. Black Americans didn't do anything to any immigrants. We are not in charge of TPS. All we did was sat down. I said sat down. All we did was sat down. That's all we did. We sat down and said, oh, okay, y'all got it. Somebody type y'all got it in the chat room. You got it. Y'all can handle that. Go ahead. That's all we did. And that's what y'all asked for. Now, let's go ahead and read these super chats. Shout out to AJY. South Africans are not happy. They show not them to have. They are slapping people everywhere. They getting them out of there. Shout out to Rob. Thank you so much. 1030. Ooh-wee. Rob 103 100. Thank you so much. Colby Cole. Our apologies to the Dominicans. Now we know better. Yeah, we've been talking bad about Dominicans for a long time, but apparently, we might need the Foundational Black American contingent might need to send an apology letter in Spanish to the people of the Dominican Republic because it seems to me that we've only been hearing one side of the story, and we have had to see for ourselves in regards to their dealings with the Haitian people, because these people they're very rude, very, very rude to Black Americans, and it's not something that we unify on the blackness, and that's unfortunate. But anyway, shout out to Lobito 7445. Thanks for the $10. Appreciate you. Queen Lioness of Judah. They have caused many problems for us. They must go. Ooh, yes, Lord. It's a lot of black people that didn't vote for Trump, but they still like some of these policies. And Queen Lioness of Judah wants one. And anytime you got black people out there saying stuff like that bold, I'm just basically telling you how they feel. I'm just trying to put it. I'm not making this up out of thin air, but this sister might be one that voted for Kamala Harris, but she reaping the benefit of getting these folk up out of here. I'm just saying, just point it out. Thank you so much, baby. Sharonda Soul, thank you so much for the $49.99. Thank you, baby. I appreciate you. With that, who's that a cute little baby you got there? Oh, look at that. Just gorgeous. All right, let's see who else we got here. Black Sand, I celebrate all illegals being deported, boy, not my Nigerian doctors. We're going to keep the Nigerian. If we had about 10,000 Nigerian doctors, we all would be healthy. We can get our weight under control. They can figure out everything. Man, they'll treat you like a car and get you tuned up. So I do like that. You understand? We are always down for black excellence, but the disrespect, you can't give with one hand and take with the other. But shout out to Tech Nine Haitians, my life hard for Black Americans in South Florida, along with Cuban. Oh, wow. So this brother must be from South Florida, and he's explaining his experience living amongst Haitians. I'm not aware. Don't know a lot of Haitians. We don't have a lot of them in Texas. But, that's the story that I've heard. That's the story that I've heard, brother, and it's unfortunate. But thank you so much, brother. You go ahead and call ICE. Just call them and let them know. They'll get that problem out of there for you. Shout out to RS11. Thank you for the $10 super sticker. Also, Ernest Jones, 8696. Thank you, Mr. Spurling, for everything. Hey, man, thank you all. Again, I'm blessed. You all, it's a blessing. I mean, we had almost over 1,000 people coming here, and you want to hear this. There's so many other things you can do. I try to give you the best of me, okay? I try to put as much thought and dedication and preparation into these broadcasts, and so I thank you all. I humbly appreciate you all. And hell, I even got my hair cut on a Tuesday. Thank you all so much. I even try to look handsome for you all. Thank y'all so much. Put a little, you see my forehead shining, put a little oil on my head, make myself look better. But thank you so much. Also, Colbert Hunter, free black men could vote in 5 northern states in the early. That is correct. That is absolutely correct. Great observation. Thank you so much. Again, I'm always of the position that this was a black American country. This was a black and white country, and we were better at that time. Now, better can be, it's interpretable. But in my opinion, we had more cohesion. We worshiped the same God. We pretty much ate the same food. We had the same holidays, and whether you like it or not, you know, we had more stability in this country. It was after 1865, because it's not multiculturalism that's necessarily a problem. I think it's failure to assimilate. Because if you got one group of people, they, you know, you go to church on Sunday and these people want to ring a bell and hang out in Times Square and just take over. That's not the America I want to live in. You know, we need to, I mean, are we going to have a country or not? You understand? Again, you can't convince me that America was not better when it was a black and white country from the perspective of cohesion, internal peace. Again, we didn't necessarily get along. We always had some racial stuff popping off, but we had an understanding. We understood each other's boundaries. Again, I'm gonna say it. I'll keep saying it. You don't have to like it, but that's what I think. And I could be wrong, but you're gonna have to prove me wrong. Black Sand 6368. Thank you for the service to the community. Thank you so much, Black Sand. RS11 again. Thank you for the $10. Thank you so much, RS11. William Lynch. Great story. Thank you, Uncle. Thank you. I appreciate you. And my man, Big J. So glad you ran down just a small portion of our history entitled Immigrants Think That They're real Americans and built the country, and white people think that they're more American than us. And see, that's why I brought it home to you all, because you get a chance to not only, I'm not just sitting up here talking about Harriet Tubman and Frederick Douglass. I literally gave you my literal family history. So you can say, wow, we are looking at the legacy of Black history right here when you look at Dennis. You see what I'm saying? When you look at Mr. Spurling, he's a lawyer. His great-great-great-grandfather, well, that was amazing. We thought all of them were slaves. No, they were very powerful and influential people. And in fact, my great-great-great-grandfather was a Republican. But back then, the Republicans were anti-slavery. You see what I'm saying? So I just find that intriguing, just to say the least. You all don't know. It's just been quite a share. And I learned about it because one of the appellate judges, the chief judge of one of the appellate courts in Kansas, called me up and said, hey, I heard about you, and did you know your great-great-great-great-grandfather was this famous Black attorney? I'm like, wow, I heard stories through the family, but you know, you miss that sort of stuff. And this is why portraits are important. That's why you should put portraits, family portraits of great people from your family, so the children and the grandchildren can look up and say, who was that? I'm gonna have one. I'm gonna say, that's my daddy. That's my great grandfather. That was Attorney Dennis Spurling, and that gentleman here, he's your great grandfather. He was an attorney too. You mean we had attorneys way back in 1860? That's 200 years, 300 years. Isn't that amazing? Wouldn't that be amazing for your child or great grandchild to see that? So So anyway, I don't want to. But thank you so much, Big J. Who else we got? Baby, Monroe, Louisiana. Bill. What's up, Monroe, baby? What's up, bro? Monroe. That's how people from Monroe say Monroe. They say Monroe. Like, you put a lot of emphasis on the Mon. But I had a homeboy. Well, I still have a friend. He's a cute dog. No social media at all. That's how you know he be out there doing dirt. No social media. It's 2026. Still no social media. But yeah, he was from Monroe. Y'all from Monroe. Shout out to all the people from Monroe, Louisiana. Thank you so much. Madman 99 FBA salute. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Chang G, thank you so much. You learned something. I'm glad y'all learned something. I throw the history in there. I know it's boring, but it's great. They don't know. They better ask somebody. They sure better ask somebody, baby. Who else we got in here? Let's see here. Which America are you talking about? Learn something today. Exactly. That's right. Don't let these people come in here and tell you, Jacqueline, that they immigrants great. Which America are you talking about? Because the America that I know, by the time these folk got here, was already built, and blood was already shed. Big J77, this was definitely an important broadcast. Immigrants really don't understand what real Americans, we got blood, sweat, and tears in it. So we certainly do. And I'm proud to be an American. I love America. America's great. And somebody type America's great in the chat room. Don't even bite your tongue. America's great. We don't confuse moral innocence with greatness. Every great nation on this planet has blood on its hands. Rome, Egypt, Greece, the Byzantine Empire, England, France, all of them. You know what I'm saying? You think America had go? What about the Mongol Empire? What about China? All right, we don't confuse America's greatness with moral innocence. You can't. I mean, it just is what it is. You don't have to like it. And as far as being proud of being American, of course, I am proud to be an American. Of course, I'm proud of my neighborhood, my community, my country. The fact that we can have a peaceful transfer of power without having to pick up our rifles and go remove the king or the dictator. Yes, I'm proud. You can be proud of everything, but that's crazy. You're proud of everything, but you're proud of your child was able to draw a picture and stay within the colors. That's crazy. Black folk, we are foundational. This is our country. We are literally at the foundation. You understand what I'm saying? So of course we should always be proud. But shout out to Mr. Mickle. He says, FBA all day. Delineation's been long overdue. Thank you so much. Appreciate you, family. Appreciate you. Also, free for effect. Thank you for the $10. I appreciate you. And then also Frozen 06. Let's get it. We're gonna get it, brother. AJ Miller, Generations of Institutional Knowledge, a word. Thank you so much, family. Teachers, schoolie, FBAs are prioritizing ourselves, as we should, sir. And then also, they won't fight their own corrupt government. They won't. You want to come over here. Americans in general don't respect people who run away from their own country. We feel sorry for you. We'll give you a job. We'll let you cut our grass and wash our cars and clean our toilets. But we don't respect you like that. That's just an American thing. Americans fight. One of the most American things you can do is fight. Okay, why do you think we love guns and Jesus so much? Jesus gives us the motivation. Guns give us the ability to do it. And barbecue is the award when we win. America. Jesus, I mean, keep it real simple. I know, that's so unsophisticated. Yeah, but you know what? Y'all say a whole lot about what Americans don't have. And then a whole bunch of Europeans came over here and they were befuddled and bedazzled at the same time by Walmart. Like, oh my God, they have air conditioning. I just want y'all to think about that. So again, this is our country. But let's do this. I'm going to wrap this up. So I keep hearing the same sob story from the TPS holders. What about our children? Let me give y'all some numbers. What about the kids? That when everything else didn't work, what about these American children that we had while we were here temporarily? The children didn't apply for TPS. You understand? The children didn't create the situation. The children didn't decide to build an entire life on a temporary immigration status. But see, but their parents did. And that's the part people keep trying to skip over. TPS means temporary protected status, not citizenship, not permanent residency, not a green card, not a pathway, not a guarantee that you could stay in America forever. Temporary. Haiti TPS started in 2010 and after the earthquake. And now it's 2026. It's 16 years later. 16 years of temporary status. Some people are already here before that, meaning some have been in this country for 18 years or longer. So nobody can say they didn't have time to understand what TPS was. Nobody can say they didn't know it was temporary. Nobody can say they didn't know their status depended on the federal government continuing to renew it. And yet, while living under temporary status, many of these people got so comfortable, they decided to start breeding. Yes. They made long-term plans and acted like temporary meant permanent status. And that's not a foundational Black American problem. That is not an American problem. That's not a Black American problem. That's not a white American problem. That's not our problem. But since they keep saying, what about the children? Let's talk about the children. Let's talk about the numbers. Did you know that Haitian TPS holders have had over 34,000 kids in the United States? Some say up to 50,000. They've had up to 50,000 children in the United States on temporary status, meaning at least one of the parents had a child, whether it be man or woman. Think about that. That means tens of thousands of children were born into or living inside of households where the adults knew their immigration status was temporary. tens of thousands of children now being used, right, throwing them up in the media as an emotional argument after their parents spent years acting like temporary status meant permanent status. The children, it's not their fault. But my question is this: whose fault is it? It certainly is not it's not Black Americans' fault. We didn't create it, and we didn't make that baby with you. We didn't create TPS. We didn't terminate TPS. We didn't issue the Supreme Court decision. We didn't revoke anybody's work permit. We didn't tell anybody temporary protection was a citizenship status. See, the responsibility belongs to the adults who got comfortable on temporary status. It belongs to the politicians and the lawyers and the activists and the community leaders who supported those people who kept blurring the lines between temporary protection and permanent belonging. That's where the blame belongs. And don't try to shift the blame on us. You don't get to spend years disrespecting foundational Black Americans and our children, calling us and our children dirty Black Americans, talking down to us and our children, calling us lazy, saying that we don't know what to do with our citizenship, benefiting from our civil rights protection we fought for. And then when your immigration status collapses, you come running with a sob story, holding up your babies, talking about what about the children? We care about children. We do. We're very compassionate people. That's pretty much all Americans. But caring about children doesn't mean we're responsible for the adult decisions that created that situation. That's the distinction. And let's be legally honest. America can deport you, okay? But America can't deport your U.S. citizen children. If your children were born here, they're citizens. But you as a parent, you made an adult choice and you got to deal with the consequences. You can take your children with you though. You can arrange for them to stay with some lawful guardians. You can pursue whatever legal relief may still be available to you. But what you don't get to do is use that 34,000 to 50,000 U.S. citizen children as a human shield against accountability while blaming foundational Black Americans for federal immigration decision we didn't make. That's not going to work. Again, you knew that the T in the TPS stood for temporary. You knew it had to be renewed. You knew it wasn't citizenship. You knew it wasn't permanent residency. You knew it wasn't guaranteed. And after 16 years, or for some of y'all, 18 years or more, you can't stand here and act shocked that the word temporary finally caught up with you. That's not racism. That's not Black Americans turning on you. That's not foundational Black Americans betraying you. That's the status you have been treated like, okay, or treated under, and you had coming to fruition, temporary. Here's the other thing. Hard for us to feel sorry for y'all. Y'all love Haiti. You said our culture is better. That's what y'all said. You said your people are better. Now, the Europeans said they love America more, but the Haitians said Haiti is better. And when I look at Europe and I look at Haiti, if I had to choose between one, I'll probably go to Europe. But nevertheless, you all said, we just need to work harder. You said we need to be more disciplined. You said that you're not like the foundational Black Americans. You said that all that with all that confidence, you had all that air in your chest when you thought America was going to keep protecting you. Well, now you have the opportunity to go prove how much better Haiti is. You can go make Haiti great again. Go take that work ethic you brag about and put it into your own country. Go take them children, little American children that you had here. Take them back to your culture and show them what a superior culture looks like. Go and build your schools and build your hospitals and build your roads and courts and businesses and institutions and get your political house in order and make it safe and build an economy and a future. That's what foundational Black Americans had to do. We didn't get any help. We didn't get any help. We didn't have a foreign country to run to. We went to Kansas In Ohio, we didn't have a homeland awaiting us. We didn't have temporary protection. We didn't have humanitarian parole. We didn't have the government program promising us. We had slavery, Jim Crow, segregation, lynching, exclusion, poverty, redlining, police violence, and institutionalized racism. And we still built churches and schools and historically black colleges and universities and businesses and black neighborhoods and civil rights organizations and legal networks and political machines and music, culture, and institutions the whole world benefits from right now. So don't come at us crying because you got comfortable inside of a temporary arrangement. You always the side chick. Don't tell us your children make you untouchable. Don't tell us your family decisions are our political responsibility. Don't tell us your temporary status became permanent just because you stayed long enough to build a life on it. And don't tell us that foundational Black Americans owe you protection after y'all spent years disrespecting the very people whose struggle created the protections you've been using. That is over. And hopefully, once y'all build Haiti up, your country isn't invaded by some unwanted, disrespectful house guests who show up after all your hard work is done and start claiming they built your country. I hope they don't come there and use your institutions and benefit from your struggle and take advantage of your labor and disrespect your people and then blame you when their temporary welcome run out, because that's exactly what many of you all have done up here. So again, don't shift the blame on the foundational Black America. We didn't do this. Your children didn't do this. Your status was temporary. Your decisions were permanent. And now you're mad because America is reminding you of the difference. This is Uncle D. God bless you all. And as I always say at this time, I'm out.
In the Spurling podcast, hit the like button, subscribe.